This episode of the Game Over Greggy Show is brought to you by Movement Watches. Movement Watches was founded on the belief that style shouldn't break the bank. The watchmaker's goal is to change the way consumers think about fashion by offering high-quality, minimalist products at revolutionary prices. With over 500,000 watches sold to customers in more than 160 countries around the world, Movement Watches has solidified itself as the world's fastest-growing watch company. Movement Watches start at just $95. Now, at a department store, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at $400 to $500. Movement figured out that by selling online, they were able to cut out the middleman and the retail markup, providing the best possible price. Classic design, quality construction, and stylized minimalism. Over 500,000 watches sold in more than 160 countries. Did I say that? I did. Right now, you can get 15% off with free shipping and free returns by going to movementwatches.com/Greggy. That's MVMTwatches.com/Greggy. This watch is cool. You've seen me talk about it before. Black face, red hands, black band. I look awesome. So it's time to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Step up your watch game. Go to movementwatches.com/Greggy. MVMT. Join the movement. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Over Greggy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi.
Hey. Now, what's this going on over here? You got some smuts.
I don't know. God knows.
Is this one of the Kevin cum shirts?
No, I don't know. This might be. You never know when you get that stuff from.
No.
You pick it up. I rub up against a lot of things.
You do. You're like a cat.
I do.
You just put your scent all
Sometimes,
over.
my old man spatial awareness just kind of falters on me, and I just slam into things.
Like
and then I keep
that?
going.
No,
This
just-
might be wall. Could be cobweb.
Sure.
Who the hell knows what it is?
Well, you came in looking like a drowned cat today.
Dude, I got dumped on, man. It is like storming outside.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think we might talk about that later. Over here, the couscous magnet, Colin Moriarty.
What does that mean? I don't like this whole new thing that you're doing.
2017! New names!
magnet.
You ever heard of couscous?
I've heard
Side
of
dish.
couscous. I've heard of couscous. I've had couscous many times, but I don't understand this new naming.
So you've had it
convention.
many times?
Yeah.
So you'd say it's drawn to you. Over there, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
Couscous is an inanimate food.
Keeps coming to you, though. Apparently, lots of times you've been
not
eating
magnetized.
it. Couscous magnet.
It's not magnetized. I need this weekend to come really bad because of football.
Is that going to help you, you think?
I don't need help. I'm fine. I just last week's football games was terrible, so I need
Do you think these will be better?
I hope so.
You don't know.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Me, couch, underwear.
Tim, what do
Jim
you got?
Nance.
You're going to say something.
Couscous magnet.
Yeah.
Where'd it come from? Because yesterday
Yeah.
you guys recorded "P.S. I Love You." I was in
XOXO.
the other room. I heard this.
Yeah.
You gave him some other weird ass name. What
I'm
was
giving
it?
2017.
the
We're
Converse champion or some shit. No, tight socks. Tight socks McGee
something
or
like
whatever
that. Yeah,
it
yeah.
was,
So
right?
that's about it. Yeah.
But I understand that. You look down. He has tight socks.
Yeah.
You give him that couscous magnet.
Yeah. His
What?
hair kind of reminds me of couscous.
I could see that. Short grain. You know?
I can't see it. I looked up to look at my hair, but the hair moved back because it's on my
Your
head.
hair looks
Yeah.
good. Your hair looks good. Your hair looks good. My hair looks great today. We're having
okay.
quite a good
We're
fucking
having a
hair
good
show
day.
right
looks
now.
like terrible.
My hair
hair's
got
terrible.
No, I like it.
fucked.
I like it when it's like this.
I gotta get a cut.
How short are you gonna go this time? The regular amount of shortness you've been going? You gonna get the beard trimmed up too?
Yeah, I just feel
Get
like
a
I'm
tight
getting lazy.
fade on
Can we
the
go
side.
together this time? I want to go to this haircut place.
I'm
I want to
gonna
go
go.
to this
I'm
nice
probably gonna go
barber
tomorrow
shop.
before I come here for the games cast.
It's full, a bunch of men there, I hear.
There are a lot of men.
Yeah, just
A lot of men in the
it up in
barbershop.
there.
My dude left though.
Oh no.
Jesus, he's no longer there. So I had to
No.
go. I had another guy named Luis.
Now, have you
cut my
asked
hair.
them to do like a traditional barber cut on you? So instead
It's
of
not
just
possible.
instead of just cutting it down short, have them do like a little bit of fade on the sides. Just
It's not
give it a little
possible.
more
That
dimension.
requires maintenance, but you have to understand that I don't.
It doesn't.
I don't have that. I don't. People ask that question sometimes. I'm like, do you not understand what's going on here? It doesn't fall or fold or sit on. It's just there.
It's like sheep's wool.
It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous
so
head of hair.
thick. It's so thick.
But I like it when you do what you just did to, where you ding a little bit and it's just got all these different edges now, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like an
I
anime,
think you
like a
could really
broke down
style
anime
that.
character.
I really think you can style that. I think you just got to go to the right guy, and he has to help you.
Just gotta believe.
They have to help you like get it to a specific look.
Well, I think it's more what Tim's saying is that the belief factor.
Yeah,
it's
you don't
also
believe
the interest factor and the caring factor.
Yeah, I understand
Both precipitously low on this.
You don't need to care much, though. You let the barber
All you need
care.
is the side. Yeah, the barber.
And the
you
barber
go in
doesn't
there-
even need to care much. Trust me, I know.
You got such a good
My barbers
hairline.
couldn't
Look
give
at
a
this
fuck
fucking
less.
hairline, Greg.
What I like about it is it's just got all these dips and curves to it like a planet. It's just this fucking
like
jagged,
CGI.
I'm like a
jagged
beat up-
surface.
Like a beat up captured asteroid roaming around Saturn right now.
On Miller's Planet. If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show each and every week. 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table, each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get every show early, along with a bunch of exclusive perks, goodies, and right now, if you're giving us $1 or more, exclusive access to Kinda Funny Live 2. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we put the entire show up topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big video and MP3 the following Friday. Nick,
Yes.
what's your topic?
My topic comes from Star Wars this time. It's
Midichlorians. Watto.
No, sand. Unfortunately, Carrie Fisher passed, so it begs the question: what do they do with Star Wars Episode 8 and 9? Well, 8's done, 9, and should they be considering doing something with her CG,
Like Tarkin. And
Like Tarkin.
And like
And
young
like her.
Princess Leia.
Yeah, exactly.
In Rogue Legacy.
Yes, Rogue Legacy, definitely. You know, in
Spoilers.
Rogue One, I mean, so it's spoilers.
You had your shot. It's
Yeah.
like what? I mean,
People have seen it. Anyone who's watching this show has already
It's been
seen
in
it by now.
other people's thumbnails by now.
Yeah, it's fine.
You've seen it somewhere.
So everyone thought it was cool. I thought it was a little alarming. I don't necessarily like when they did this. I didn't care for it in Tron. I didn't think it. Well, obviously, the effect didn't work that well in Tron.
I didn't see it in I didn't see Tron. So who was
In
CGI
Tron
in
Legacy, they made Jeff Bridges younger, so the villain was the younger version of him.
Okay.
It was a program, but it looked like him. And so when Jeff Bridges came in, he had to fight himself, which I was like, that's cool, but it didn't really work. They couldn't. I guess they didn't get the right team on it.
Gotcha.
Or there was a lot
Which
of
is a different
criticism
time.
about
It
it.
was 2008.
Well, it was, but I guess they wanted the people that the way I heard the story, and I could be completely wrong, was that the Benjamin Button team that did Benjamin Button, which was amazing, was supposed to come on here, but by that point there had been so many production delays that they'd lost the majority of the good guys, so they had to kind of, I guess they got the B team on it.
Ouch.
Anyway, it didn't work, and it didn't. Unfortunately, it didn't even need to be that. They could have just had someone that looked like Jeff Bridges be that character, or a completely different actor be that character, and I think it probably would have been okay.
See, I go a different direction. I disagree. I don't think they could have just had a different actor. I think that they could have just changed the plot so it didn't
Well,
require
that's what I
a fake
meant,
person.
right? I mean, obviously that he was supposed to be like a facsimile of
and I think
of
that's
Flynn.
important. Now, the one thing that I'll give Tron Legacy in that regard is that since it is they're inside a computer, literally.
Right.
So I'm like, I'll give it that it's not perfectly accurate and whatever. What was a little more off-putting to me was the Jeff Bridges stuff and the flashback scenes and all of
Yeah.
that, because then when you see what's supposed to be Jeff Bridges' character in real life,
Yeah.
and he looks exactly the same as the computer villain version, that's when it was like a little bit weird to me, and I feel like they could have cut that stuff out.
See, I just feel like, I feel like we're just in the uncanny valley, right? I feel like no matter what happens, we as human beings will never recognize that as real. It's just like not in our lifetime, at least, or not in the next 20 years.
So what do you do with the people who did think that Tarkin was real?
You line them all up outside. No, I'm just joking.
No,
It's like you can't do that on television when that guy remember
the slime?
No, the character on You Can't Do That on Television that used to shoot everyone. He was the executioner, and then some guy would run on and say like stop the execution. You guys don't.
No, I don't remember that.
I, for the record, you can't do that.
Are you talking
You
about
can't
laughing?
do that on television. No, you can't
Gotcha.
do that on television. I loved as a kid,
I
but
can tell.
all I can remember is the
can tell.
slime in the lockers because I was so young.
I could tell that you're older than me.
I know. I watched it in syndication though.
Sorry to interrupt.
With Tarkin, I can understand. I mean, a lot of people thought he was real, and that was great. It was done very, very well. I still kind of feel the same way, right? I mean, I guess that Peter Cushing's died a long time ago and hasn't been really in the public eye since. I mean, I can't remember him in other movies after A New Hope for the most part.
Yeah.
So you look at that and you're like, I guess that's sort of okay. But I mean, Carrie Fisher, everyone knows Carrie Fisher.
Right.
You just saw her in a film. The documentary just came out with her and her mother. I just don't know if people are going to be able to see that as real, and if it's not going to hinder the process or hinder the actual final.
So have they
outcome of the movie.
so to bring everybody up to speed, episode 8 is done. They said her
It's
scenes
done.
are done.
Her scenes are shot. It's
Okay,
done.
and from what the report I heard on Colin Moriarty Live or morning show was the fact that it's her stuff's done. She's not that big of a character, but she was supposed to be a big character in episode 9.
In episode 9, yeah.
Okay.
So and you want? I mean, obviously they're talking about some of the things that people are speculating about is obviously she has to have some sort of scene with Kylo Ren, some sort of scene with Luke, some sort of scene with Rey. She's the leader of the Rebel Alliance or whatever they're calling it now, the 40-year team of people who really haven't been able to beat the fucking Empire in 30 years. So
I love you so much, Nick.
Well, you know what I mean. It's
I know what you mean.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. These people have been around doing the exact same thing. Maybe it's time to change your fucking tactics a little bit. Okay, they're
I think they're doing
planets out
a
of the
pretty
water.
good job considering.
They're all their planets just
They
got
let this smoke guy get in.
Cut by death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly. No, but I mean, but it's disconcerting. What do you do? Obviously, that they're up against a conundrum. This is what I lovingly refer to as the Fast and Furious 6 conundrum, right? Or 7, excuse me, conundrum. Is that you don't? What do you do? What do you do? You can't make the movie.
You do that. I think that there's a tasteful way to do it.
But
you don't agree?
No.
You thought the end of Fast and Furious 7 wasn't.
I think we're talking about apples and oranges here. I think if this was episode 8 and she was a main character there and we have to fill in a few holes like they did with Fast 7, right? I know we just said this, but anyways, because Paul Walker stuff, a lot of it was shot, not all of it. So then these body buttles and computers and stuff.
Okay, I'm talking about the end of Furious 7 specifically, where they did the actual.
You
CG
think you
show.
go away without saying goodbye? Did you?
Yeah. I think it's a case-by-case situation where it comes down to, is it about the actor or is it about the character? And I think that in the case of Fast and Furious, that was a send-off of the character, but the reason they did the facial reconstruction stuff was to honor him, to honor Paul Walker and his...
So where does that leave us with Carrie though? Because this is not to honor her. This is because we have a ninth movie to make.
And I think that's a totally different scenario. When it comes to Tarkin, we've seen him in Rebels, we've seen him in a whole bunch of other forms of media of Star Wars, and I think Star Wars is something where these characters are the characters, and seeing him as much as we did in Rogue One, like I said in the review, thought unnecessary. They could have kept it a little bit more cutty, but they obviously doubled down on it because they knew that this type of stuff was going to happen eventually, and they need people to just get used to the fact that these characters they have storylines, and those storylines are not going to change based on reality.
But so prior to this, right, one of the more famous instances of this happening was Dumbledore dies. The actor who played Dumbledore in the first 2 Harry Potter films passes away. They don't have a choice. They can't do 5 more movies or 6 more movies with CG, so they have to recast him, right? And everyone ends up, it's divisive, but people got used to the new Dumbledore and he went on. Don't we feel like it's a little exploitative? You're exploiting the dead actor a little bit.
Right.
Don't you feel that way? You know what I mean?
I don't think it's that. The situation you're talking about with Dumbledore is similar to the moms in Fresh Prince.
Yes.
Or of course the last
Except
season of Family
Viv-
Matters.
And Viv didn't die.
No, Aunt Viv didn't die.
Viv just got shit canned.
No, they had some sort of disagreement in some sort of way. I'm with Tim that I think with Tarkin specifically that I thought. Well, let me back up to what you said. Because I've seen some people being like, I was with someone or I thought Tarkin was real, and I'm like, A New Hope was made in 1977. Mm-hmm. Peter Cushing looks exactly the same in this movie in 2016 that he looks like in 1977. You thought that was a real man. Okay, beyond that particular...
The point there is I'm sure those people
just
didn't
don't know who
realize
Peter
that
Cushing
that character
is,
was in A New Hope.
But how is that possible?
I mean...
I think it's casual Star Wars fans who
Okay,
don't understand the
So
who
like my
Tarkin
wife,
is.
for instance, was like, I didn't know that guy wasn't real. But she doesn't know.
But I looked at him. I don't know anything about technology, as everyone knows, right? Don't care. Not really interested in it. I looked at Tarkin immediately, and maybe it's because I know Star Wars very intimately, and maybe it's because I know Tarkin, and maybe it didn't look real at all. Like to me, I'm like, that can pass, I guess. And that's as good as it gets. It is kind of like, I was going to bring up the Uncanny Valley. It isn't technically the Uncanny Valley for people out there that want to be nerdy. It's not at all. But because that's like about how robots become so realistic that they actually just don't look real anymore. But
it's a term people use for
No, I
CG,
know.
but
It's similar to like
not
Occam's razor, how we use that term, where the simplest explanation tends to be the right one, but it's not really what it means. The thing about Leia that kind of bothered me. So with Tarkin, I agree with Tim where they could have cast a normal person and just showed him from the back. And when they showed the reflection of Tarkin on the window, that's as far as they should have went. And I thought that was really cool. And I thought that's what we were going to get. And I was surprised immediately thereafter, not in the next scene, but immediately thereafter they show him. I'm like, that seemed to me something that George Lucas would do. Right. And I didn't expect, with his obsession with, the fucking fakeness of the episode 1 through 3, which I spoke about how I went back and looked at those. Those movies look awful now, man. They just look terrible. When I was watching episode 2 in Mexico, episode, it looks awful, and it's even worse. That's why I tweeted. It's even worse than I remember. That was how I was like, okay, it can't possibly be any worse than I remember. And then I got to the sand scene and the Boba Fett, and I was like, no.
The Boba.
The Leia thing I thought was an unforced error because Leia looked way worse than Tarkin, first of all, and second of all, they could have just showed her putting her hood on from the back. I don't understand like why they forced
I don't know
this
either.
particular thing but it would have been cooler. It's the same argument I made. I know it's redundant to people where they should have never showed Luke at the end of 7. You know, like they should have just had that thing whirling around the guy in the hood because you know who it is, or at least you think you know who it is. And with those buns and that iconic white cloak on the Carillion Corvette with the codes, it would have just been awesome if she just put her hood up and interacted with R2 in some way, and that was the end. They didn't need to show her. It seemed to me to be something, particularly with Leia, where I'm like, that just caused you unnecessary problems. I think you can make plot and narrative arguments of why Tarkin needed to be in X, Y, and Z, and that's fine, and we can have those arguments. But the Leia thing, I felt like was totally unnecessary, especially because I don't think it looked good. Like that was jarring to me. Like Tarkin, I thought looked way better, but
the longer they had it, the more they gave us of Tarkin, the more you got to get hung up on the fact of, oh shit. Because I remember when it is the glass, I remember you being next to me going, what? And then it was, oh, okay. And the more we got used to it, it was like, oh, well, this is why it doesn't look real, and that doesn't look real, and blah, blah, blah. And Leia was great. I thought great because it was just hope, boom, 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 and the place went crazy, and everybody was yelling and screaming. Like it was like that one quick moment. I didn't get a chance to linger. I haven't, gone back and looked at screenshots of it or anything.
I'm with Colin a little bit on this one, and there's. It's sort of the trend in filmmaking now. Before you used to, if you wanted to hold suspense or if you wanted to, have some sort of mechanism you would see her maybe, turn a little bit. You'd see maybe a 3/4 profile, something like that, but still shrouded by the hood, right? Something that just said, okay, that you're giving it a little bit. Right now, we're getting 110% all the time with Star Wars and with Marvel in specific. Like they figured it out. They're like, that's what the audiences want. Let's give them 110%. And so I'm with you. I don't think we should have seen her face because we knew who that was. If we see her from behind, her putting a hood on and then like turning a little bit, we would have gotten it. It would have been the exact same thing. But I think they wanted to make sure that everyone and their mother really knew who that person was, and I'm with you too. Like, it kind of took me out of it a little bit, especially coming off of that amazing scene with Vader right before that. I'm like, holy shit, they just knocked that out of the park. That's like the best thing Star Wars like I've ever seen in Star Wars. And then you get to that, I'm like, oh, you didn't. Not that I didn't mind it because I'm with Tim too. I was kind of like, all right, I'll take it, and I clapped. But I did, upon reflecting on it, like you look back, like it wasn't necessary. It didn't need to be there. It kind of felt a little fanfare-y, like. You were just kind of, I don't know.
It just seemed weird to me. Like I don't know. My big take, because I really thought Rogue One was fantastic. There's a significant plot problem that I can't get over, as we talked about in the spoiler cast, which people can go listen to, which I won't rehash here, just in case I don't want to get too deep into the spoilers. But that was the only other thing about the movie that I thought was a miss, like a complete miss, was Tarkin and Leia. Otherwise, I don't know that I don't know that it can get much better than that either. I mean, because when I was looking at it and thinking about it, I'm like, this is pretty advanced technology. I mean, right. no one's doing. They're attracting the best talent, and they have the best technology in order to do this. So I don't know how much better it can possibly be than that. I thought it was very lifelike and very real. But you see, if I went in and didn't know who Tarkin was, if it was like Grandma, or if it was like Grand Admiral Thrawn or something, and they decided they wouldn't need to do this, but if they were just, in other words, a character that we saw or we knew about from Timothy Zahn book covers or something, but we never saw outside of a video game or a book or whatever, and then they did that, and I didn't really know that character was fake to begin with, and then I looked quickly, I probably would have thought Tarkin was real, but immediately I'm like, it's not possible, and therefore It took me out, and I can't imagine that most people don't feel that way, because it just was a huge disconnect, and I feel like there's something powerful in storytelling about leaving something to the imagination, even if you know what the person is, and seeing Leia interface with her back turned with R2 or something like that, or just getting the chip after that very frenetic scene, which was fucking awesome with Vader, as they tie A New Hope to Rogue One intimately and directly, just seemed like a big miss, and so I don't like it. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff. But it ties back to old Star Wars.
What do you want to do then, everybody, with Episode 9? Is the question.
They got to write around 8. Like they have to write her out, and either at the end of 8 or the beginning of 9. And my thought is, can they not use, with some clever voiceover and some clever editing, scenery or shots they already have?
Well, that's what they'll do. I mean, that's what they did in Fast and Furious 7.
Yeah, that's
with
Paul
Paul Walker,
and it won't be great.
I mean, that's my problem. Is I hope they don't do what they did with Furious 7. And again, very different situations. They finished shooting 8, whereas with Furious 7, they were not even halfway done shooting it. So they had to completely rewrite the script and completely change things up. I think with Star Wars, like, they need to kind of just go forward with what the plan was. Like, whatever Leia was going to do in 9, and we don't know. All these reports and all these things coming out, they are the most rumor of rumor. Who the hell knows if she has interactions with these characters or whatever? Who knows what happens to her in 8? Like, nobody that's working on 8 is publicly putting out there like, oh man, we need to figure out what we're doing in 9 because that implies she makes it through 8 in the original cut of it or whatever.
That was my problem with the rumors too. That's why it didn't make any sense. It seemed to belie too much.
Like, I mean, I don't trust it. And I mean, I would assume she makes it through 8, but who knows? And I also think that she's not going to be in enough scenes for it to really matter. I think that, as we saw with episode 7, they're not trying to force these things down our throats. I think that Han was the most used, most on-camera character that we're familiar with for a reason. Like, they knew they were getting rid of him, and it was totally, this is the tie back to the originals, and they needed that to do the carbon copy movie that is or whatever, and to make that happen. But going forward, I really don't think we're going to see too much of her. I think that Luke's character is going to be way more prominently featured. So
we need to protect Mark Hamill at all costs.
Well, I mean, it's kind of dark comedy, I guess, but it's like you would have expected Harrison Ford would have been one to eat shit at some point because of the
plane crash
and just the
foot
fact that
getting eaten by the
fate
Millennium
seemed to
Falcon
be against him, and you wouldn't have expected, Carrie Fisher being somewhat young by modern standards,
60,
actually
right?
quite young. I don't think she was in her 60s.
I think she was 60 on the nose.
Oh, she was in her 50s. Oh, maybe, yeah. And then Mark Hamill, obviously. I feel like my theory was always she was gonna die in this one. And I wonder if there's any truth to that. Because I always assumed they were going to get, after Han dies in 7, which I didn't expect actually, and I was kind of sad to see that because I was kind of hoping to see, him begrudgingly play Han Solo for another film. Like maybe he wanted to be there for episode 8.
I thought if anything it was going to be the opposite way around. I thought they would kill Leia off.
Well, I think Luke's going to obviously die. So, but I think that they'll do that at the end, and so Leia is then the other one. That would, I feel like they have to get rid of these characters in some way in order for everyone a new generation to move on beyond this new trilogy. But I mean, it's all conjecture, as Tim was saying, like we don't really know. Although a lot of the rumors, to be fair to the other side or to another side, a lot of the rumors that were coming out about Star Wars were true, and not all of them, but a lot of them were. I remember the earliest rumors about episode 7 was that about how Luke had gone missing. And like no one knew what that meant, and it was true. It's the first word and the first line in the crawl, if I remember correctly.
Well, so I mean, but so
who knows?
So how do you react to episode 8? She lives, and then in episode 9 we have to get a CG version of her.
So that's where this gets really interesting. I think going back to what I was saying about there's the difference between honoring the actor and honoring the story, and I think that this is one of the most complicated of those issues because you do need to honor her death in some way. Mm-hmm. But I hope that doesn't get in the way of the story of what these movies can be, because then it's kind of like Batman with the Joker, right? Heath Ledger dying. It's like how are they gonna go about that? And it's complicated because it's very similar to this, where he shot everything for Dark Knight, didn't even start Dark Knight Rises, so that completely changed what Dark Knight Rises is. And I think that because of this, it might completely change what episode 9 is, but I don't think so. I think that they will find clever ways to write her out of the story in a way that gives her a send-off, kind of like Fast and Furious, but I think it'll be better because they haven't shot half of episode 9 already. So they can reroute in a way that really makes sense instead of kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
The problem is shooting at this in the dark, not knowing what episode 8 is, right? Because if it is that she's a main character there and she hasn't had a run-in with Kylo, she hasn't had a run-in with Luke, that doesn't happen in 8, and that is something obviously that needs to happen in this series in episode 9 for the end of their part. I mean, I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility to recast. Yeah, I know that's fucking crazy. I know that's insane, but I mean, they can't. I mean, you can't. We all know what Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia look like, and so to have it be the CG version that just everybody's gonna walk out and be like, it was close, but it was weird, and it
also
wasn't.
You have to get someone to do her voice, right? Like you have to have an impersonator do her voice because you don't have that like synthesized. I'm with Greg. I think like, and I'm sure people are sitting in a room right now probably still discussing this, but I think you recast, and I think you even go as far as to reshoot her scenes in episode 8. Like,
wow,
why not?
That's what I was thinking too. If you are going to recast, I think recasting.
Do it now. Like, get it done
ridiculous.
now.
See, that doesn't make any sense. Give her at least her last hurrah.
I don't know. I'm just saying like it was jarring with Dumbledore, right? And so, and especially if that character is not going to die, if you're going to use that, if you are going to continue to use that character, which if she's the leader of the Resistance, and you would imagine like she goes on to lead whatever is happening with the Empire or whatnot. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's beyond the realm of craziness to say like bring in another actor who can do that justice, who we all would love, and let's see it happen. Because I mean, look, if this has happened in the 80s, imagine if midway through Empire Strikes Back, Carrie Fisher had an accident and died. They would have had to recast, right? There's no choice. That's
They just
that's
would
the
have
way
wrote
it
her
used to
out.
be.
They would have just changed the plot. You know?
That's
I mean,
possible, too.
Luke got into, or Mark Hamill got into a catastrophic accident in between A New Hope and Empire, and that's why they wrote in the scar that he has on his face from the accident with the Wampa and stuff. I think that was written specifically to make room for that. And I think that scene obviously is fucking iconic with the lightsaber and the snow and stuff. But I disagree in the sense that I don't think they should be recast. I agree that if they're going to recast, or they need to do it now. To make it less jarring, there is a point Tim is making, which I think is very interesting, that you have to kind of there's gonna be fan reactions either way that are gonna be positive and negative, I think, and probably mostly negative if you do something like that. I think the answer is to kill her in episode 8, like to go back and rewrite it so you don't have to worry about episode 9 and just put her on a fucking ship, and she's on a ship and just gets blown up. That's the end, you know. Like, and you can have a callback to A New Hope when I love that scene of Tarkin when they show him for a second as the Death Star's blowing up or whatever, you know, and it's like they can do a similar thing like that and just show, you know, have a scene of her just showing her face and alter it that way. I think that they have got to have gotten rid of that character by episode 9. Like, I don't think you can, and I don't know that she's that integral to the plot anyway. They're trying to not make it about them ultimately. I think that's why the Force Awakens was such a carbon copy of A New Hope, is to get everyone comfortable with the fact that it shouldn't probably be, you know, because if episode 8 is like Empire, that's a huge problem. I mean, and I hope that that's not the case.
Shooting in the dark, doing all these different things, right? Like, I mean, as an outsider of Star Wars, but just knowing how films go and how the Star Wars stories go, like Kylo Ren gets his fucking redemption at the end of this, right? And I think the redemption would come from Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, or, you know, General Leia, holding him as he dies. You know what I mean? And he has, it's the reverse where she's Luke and he's Vader. And it's that thing of, I was wrong. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I killed Dad. He won't say that, obviously, but that's what's being communicated in that moment. And so I feel like if that was where we were going to episode 9, then I think you have to drastically redo it. And I think that then means drastically redoing what the relationship with Luke is. Because now Luke has to be that parental figure to get those moments and get those scenes. And then that changes, I think, if Luke dies at the end as well. Then, or, you know, because I agree that Luke would have to die in all this and the way it originally played out.
Definitely got to
But
die.
I just don't feel like there's an anchor to this story then, or where his redemption comes from. It can't be him talking to Rey unless they are... Not even, I mean, I think they're related, right? Like, that's what we all take away from Force Awakens, but I don't think they're going to be related to the fact that that's going to matter, that, like, they're talking and hanging out.
I think there's so many options out there, and I think that there's been so much thought put into what these movies are and where they're going, and not only these movies, but Star Wars as a whole, as a franchise. And what I don't want to happen is for them to be reactionary to this type of stuff, and I want them to stay true to what the vision is, and understandably, they're gonna need to make some changes, because if she was a prominent feature, she's not going to be as prominent. But I think Tarkin's an example of them being like, nah, she will be. We're going to figure that out. Tarkin being in Rebels, he's Tarkin. And the reason they did that and they went so far and they didn't just do the reflections is because they're like, this is the character and this is what we're doing. And I think that in episode 8 and 9, it'll be the same thing.
Tarkin's another one of those perfect examples. They could have literally recast that. There's all the hardcore people would have been like, okay, that guy's Tarkin now. I get it. Like they did it with, what's her name?
The redhead.
Mon Mothma, yeah. Mon Mothma, right?
Mothman.
There's some part of me that's just irked by this, right? Where you're just suddenly allowed to recreate the exact look of a human being that you would have had to pay for this. I'm sure they had to pay his estate for it, right? But like, he doesn't get a say as to whether or not he gets to be in this movie. Like, it's kind of the same feeling I got when I heard that George Lucas was just going to say fuck it and make everything, like, in his brain he wanted to make everything CG, right? He even has that, I think it's a famous quote that he said, could be making this up too, where he was like, if I could, I'd make everything CG, even the actors, right? Because that's what he wanted. I think it's just, where do we draw the line of saying, like, look, at a certain point, these are fucking human beings. You can't just use Carrie Fisher's likeness forever and keep putting her in movies because...
yeah, but I mean,
there's just a line that has to be drawn,
I don't
right?
think even that's like what we're dealing with. I think you get away with it if that's what they wanted to do. And like episode 8, we're doing that. It wouldn't
She's
be
by
seen,
contract to do episode 9.
Not
as
even
well,
that.
so
I mean, I don't even think it would be seen as like you're, exploiting her or her estate or her memories. This is the end of Princess Leia's story for the most part, right? Like, this is where Leia's journey was going to end. We're what, Jesus Christ, 5/6 of the way there. You know what I mean? Like, this was what it was supposed to be in terms of what the vision of Star Wars was, and we want to honor her by doing that. And that's even with Grand Tarkin, right? In the fact that, all right, we need him for this one thing, and it's a cool throwback for the audience and for him, and he has been in Rebels, and there's this.
But again, he's been in Rebels. The character's been in Rebels, not the actor.
Right.
Peter Cushing's did
but
not.
in Rebels, he looks like that guy.
Sure,
In CG.
you could have cast an actor that looked like him, and actually didn't even need to look like him. Like, these people are actors. Like, again, it's I call back to Dumbledore. Like, yes, they bring a different vibe, they bring a different sense of as far as their sensibility is concerned, but that character wasn't so pivotal to the plot that it had to look like Peter Cushing's. It was just kind of. It almost feels kind of gross when you think about it, right? Like,
it's a very interesting philosophical question that I had not really considered.
Like,
that I think
Why don't they put Elvis Presley in a movie? Why not, right?
I mean,
it's Elvis Presley. He's been dead for a while. No one's going to care. It's Elvis Presley. But like,
I think it's a contractual thing. I do think that like going forward in movies, this is just the reality of where we're at. These people need to, in the contracts, it needs to say it's a this many movie deal. And I mean, what about toys? What about like, it's hard. Where do you draw the line? Because if your likeness is used for every single thing, whether it's comics or toys or video games or this or that, like what's tarnishing their whatever likeness.
And that's the interesting thing. You brought up Bright Lights, the Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher documentary. I watched it on HBO, and then right afterwards it recommended Wishful Drinking, the Carrie Fisher one-woman show or whatever. And I'd never seen it, so I popped it in there. And of course she talks with broad strokes about all manner of things, but she says that George Lucas owns her likeness. And so I don't know if that was 100% correct, if that was just merchanting,
that's what I was going to say, was that some of the actors famously did fight for their likeness rights in the movie and some didn't, which is why I don't want to say Carrie Fisher was never destitute, but like I think Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill made an extraordinary amount of money compared to her. And probably others. And it's possible Peter popular, pretty popular, famous actor. I don't know if he fought for his rights. There could be some minutia, but it doesn't. But it doesn't negate what you're saying. Because
I think they have full rights to use this. By the way,
because
I'm
I
not
think
accusing Disney or Lucas of. Like,
I know
they're just running away. Like, what are you doing?
No, I know.
This is all on the up and up.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I still think, regardless of the legality, I still think there is an interesting philosophical question. Because you're right. It's like Elvis died in the fucking late 70s or something.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, why not just bring Elvis back? And it's so I agree that there's something to be said about that, but they're in between a rock and a hard place, and they have to figure this out. And I'm sure that they're not. It's not going to be an easy solution. I really do think Dollars to Donuts. I think they rewrite parts of 8, and then they have to rewrite. Obviously, you're going to have to rewrite a lot of 9, but I think that they're going to have to solve this problem now, and it's a big problem. It's a sad problem. I don't think that anyone anticipated. I remember when I read about the news, and then there was all this conflicting stuff on the Hollywood Reporter and whatnot about, well, the son says she's in stable condition and all this kind of stuff. And because immediately, I remember when, it's sad, but when you only have the connection to these people as their actors and as their characters, I remember when Harrison Ford got into that fucking plane accident. I was like, well, that's great. Indy and the possibility of some sort of Indiana Jones thing happening, maybe with him, maybe with not. And then obviously Han Solo's return in episode 7. You get worried about these kinds of things, and that's immediately where my mind went to with her too, where I was like, well, it sounds like she's fine, so we don't have to worry about that. And I also watched Catastrophe, which was the last thing she filmed. So it's sad to hear, but I hope that they solve, and I think they can solve in a very tasteful way. And I think the best way you give ode to her is to dedicate the movie to her.
That's going to happen for sure.
And I think that's
guarantee at the end of it, it'll say whatever.
I think that's important. You're just for Carrie Fisher or whatever.
Sure.
And so, yeah, but I agree with you. And my hope is that they don't belabor this, because the technology between what we saw in Rogue One and 8 and 9 and the years passing are not going to make it any more believable. Leia didn't look right in Rogue One, and it's just not going to be right to have animatronic fucking Leia walking around.
Yeah, the technology is obviously, it's come a long way. Like it did fool a lot of people. And in the last, I think Tron came out 6 years ago?
2008, right?
2008, yeah. 2010. So 7 years ago almost. It's conceivable in the next 10 years they'll be able to do it. They'll be able to get it to the point where you really can't, only the trained eye can really tell. But the question still is, should they? Should they be doing this? I don't know. That's what I grapple with.
Tim.
Yes.
What's your topic?
I want to talk about fast food mascots.
Yeah, you do.
So on the Kind of Funny morning show, at some point we were discussing this, because I don't remember how it came up.
Yeah.
You were internet exploring, as you two do. And
that's what it was.
You queued up a video.
We found the Rad Anthem by a musical artist called Rad Omen. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen this before, stop what you're doing.
It's pretty amazing.
Right now. It's a video of Ronald McDonald, the Colonel, the King, and Jack going out to party for a night, and they end up at a strip club. Wendy's there. It's a whole shenanigans.
Yeah,
There's a lot of cocaine involved.
A lot of cocaine.
Very graphic, very ridiculous. A lot of butts in this video. Mm-hmm. So it kind of sparked a thought in my mind of who is the best fast food mascot? Who deserves a shout out? And who are the ones that we don't think about?
Does the bell from Taco Bell count?
No, but the Chihuahua
The Chihuahua does.
The Chihuahua does.
So what I
Yo
did-
Carrero.
I found a list online of the best fast food mascots.
Okay.
And I want to kind of go through that as a starting point so we
Okay.
can see what we
See-
think
okay,
about all of
okay.
these. The first one on the list are the sponge monkeys.
Don't know who they are.
The sponge monkeys. Kev, can we get the picture of them? Those are the sponge monkeys.
No,
Sponge monkeys from Quiznos Sub. Now, Greg, you got a story about these guys.
Should I phone call Poe in, you think, for this one?
I think you just tell it.
So everybody knows Poe, my best friend from back in Chicago. The deal was that the sponge monkeys, the Quiznos Sub fucking motherfuckers who eat Quiznos Subs with those damn commercials, they came around, and this happened in college times. And Poe hated this commercial so much that he infamously swore off ever going into a Quiznos Sub again. And it would be they'd be having a party, and this fucking commercial would come on. He would run over and turn off the TV. He would yank the power cord out of the wall. He didn't want to hear these fucking sponge monkeys for one goddamn second.
Right.
And to Poe, I mean, to his credit, he legitimately full on fucking committed to this.
He lived by it.
Where he was out with a girl he liked at one point, and she's like, I'm gonna stop at Quiznos. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna wait outside. And it was Minnesota. It's freezing cold. I'm gonna wait outside. And she's like, well, why don't you just come in? And if you're not gonna eat, and he's like, no, this whole thing with this commercial, I won't go into Quiznos Sub anymore. And she's like, really? And he's like, yeah. And he just stood outside in the cold while she went in to get this thing. And he calls out the fact that more people are on his side because Quiznos did tank afterwards. Like their stock really did go down. Like
they overexpanded.
This was a huge problem in terms of everything. But yeah, these sponge monkeys.
He equates the sponge monkeys to their failure.
'Cause he thinks-
Which, honestly, I'm pretty sure if anything, they just made Quiznos relevant.
I mean, they made it relevant the fact you all talked about hating it, but I mean, I guess that's the thing of any publicity is not bad publicity. But I
Bothering
mean,
me that he's playing a guitar left-handed too.
well, I mean, also that like, why
a
would you
pirate.
use these things that look like rats? Fucked up. They look like fucked up rats. They got mutated, and they're eating at Quiznos Subs. They're going inside Quiznos.
See, 'cause
I don't want to eat where
it was
these
like
things
the
are.
birth of internet culture at that time, and I think that these are very representative of the kind of early flash animation comedy that we got back in those days.
Sure, this
And
is
Quiznos
Madison
ran with
Avenue
it.
trying to come in and think they understand memes. I understand what you're
Yeah,
saying,
and I
but
mean,
it
I think
backfired.
I don't know that it
Or Don.
backfired. I didn't know what Quiznos was until these guys.
Did it make you go to a Quiznos?
I mean, it did. I mean, I was then like, oh shit, I
loved
probably try
Quiznos.
this.
I loved Quiznos.
I still love Quiznos.
I haven't seen one in a long time. There was one in Northeastern, but it wasn't there when we went back. Five Guys is where Quiznos.
Five Guys, no mascot.
Don't need it.
They fuck it up.
Peanuts.
They have
Peanuts on the
damn
ground.
Goddamn peanuts.
Don't need it. The mascot is that it's better than everything else. That's the mascot. Next.
Next.
Next up,
Wait, what do you like? You call him Poe?
No, I'm looking more. I want to know more
monkeys,
about
what are
the
they called?
sponge monkeys.
sponge monkeys.
Slate's got it here.
I barely remember these things.
Really?
Yeah, barely.
They had a whole bunch of commercials with really annoying songs.
I'm
and then
sure.
everybody jumped and latched onto it and did similar things. Like Blockbuster Video had their the hamsters that sang.
Everyone that's dying doing the same thing.
Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah, you gotta evolve. You gotta evolve. You can't just follow. You know what I mean?
So speaking of evolving, we got Grimace.
Fuck yeah,
from
Grimace.
McDonald's.
Grimace is the G, dude.
What the hell?
It's
Like
Grimace, man.
who what is it?
Can we get a bigger picture of Grimace, please?
Kevin says no, we can't.
Okay, make it happen.
Can you just
Maybe
command
just-
plus plus on the
Type in Grimace in Google and see what it
control
There's a
controls.
thing called a search engine. You can.
Have you heard of
There we
Find
go.
images.
Have you heard of Altababa or whatever
There we
the
go.
your name is?
Altababa.
Oh, is that Yahoo?
Yeah.
So
Beginning of the end of them.
what do you think was like the
God.
design choice behind Grimace?
As a kid, first off, as a kid, I loved Grimace.
Yeah, everyone loves
Because
Grimace.
he's the one who was usually at a McDonald's. You'd go to McDonald's and there'd fucking be some idiot. I mean, you didn't know. You thought it was just Grimace out there. Yeah.
You saw people dressed up.
I never
Yeah,
saw it. I
oh
never
my
saw it in
god!
my
In
life.
suburban
What the-
Chicago
They didn't do that
McDonald's,
shit in the West
he was out
Coast.
there waving you in sometimes to go in the drive-through and all this shit. And he was just cuddly. You
Sounds like
hug
you were
him.
having fucking
just
acid
cuddly.
flashbacks when
You
you were like
could
7
hug
years
him
old.
because he was soft. He was cute. He was big and slow like me. There was a lot for me to like. What Grimace is he is what the McDonald's board pictures as their customer. Just a giant lumbering fat fucking triangle waddling into the store to eat a Big Mac.
Man, nah, Grimace was he was something special.
I mean, Grimace is a punk ass bitch. Let's be honest
What?
about that. Like the
Whoa,
one,
shots fired, dog.
thank you, Kevin. He's a punk ass bitch, and the only bold McDonald's mascot that's there is Ronald McDonald because
Hamburger?
he's horrifying, and see, Grimace is too vanilla. because he comes from a time.
You telling me that thing ain't horrifying?
No, that thing comes from a design boardroom in the 60s where they're like, how can we make the simplest suit?
Yeah.
Sure.
Triangular purple man with eyes and a big ass mouth that we can put cheeseburgers in.
He doesn't even have
Can
a
I-
grimace on his face.
I want to
really.
read a little bit about Grimace because it
got
turns
a
out
high
his
smile.
story, it sounds way more interesting
Let's
before
hear
he
it.
got fucking neutered over here by the McDonald's Corporation. Grimace, a large purple, this is from Wikipedia, a large purple monster-like character who was first introduced in November 1971 as Evil Grimace. In Grimace's first 3 appearances, he was depicted with 2 pairs of arms in which to steal milkshakes. Evil was soon dropped from Grimace's name, and Grimace was reintroduced in 1972 as one of the good guys. There you go. That's what
Well,
I know.
his name is Grimace. I never really thought about that. Like, it's an interesting kind of ode
Name.
to that origin story.
See, I don't.
Hamburglar's the dude too, but
Yeah.
but
What?
but
I mean, like McDonald's had actually a lot of interest. They had a McDonald's cinematic universe, which I
Kev,
like.
Kev,
We had
can you-
Fry
can you
Guys,
pull up-
Mayor McCheese.
yeah, Mayor McCheese, was he ever elected?
We got Mayor.
I don't know, but he was a
Mayor
great.
McCheese here. But Kev, can you
He
bring
was
up
a great-
Jesus,
see
look
the
at
other
him, bro.
image?
He was a great slide.
It's one of the group images.
Did you ever go to the play place? He was a good slide. You could climb up in his thing. and fly down.
It's a
I don't
group
remember voting
image.
for him.
I first of all, I never voted for Mayor McCheese in this race. But second of all, when I
There we
at
go.
7 or 8 years old, when I realized what was going on in that ball pit, I'm like, I can't never go in this thing again.
As if he-
So we got the cinematic universe here.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, Birdie! I forgot about
We got Birdie over there.
Oh yeah, she's kind of been out of it for a while, huh? She's out of the game. I don't see her.
They need to
they're
go
all
back to
on
this,
the
man. They got to go back to this for their marketing.
Who's the guy with the fucking Hulk Hogan mustache and beard?
That's Captain
pirate?
Crook.
Captain Crook?
Crook.
Oh, so him and Hamburglar, they homies?
The pirate captain who first appeared in July 1970, unofficial debut of
Oh
McDonaldland.
no, so he's the one on the right. I'm talking about the guy that looks like he's a
The guy's
doctor.
About to put a Scotty.
Oh.
Scotty.
That's the professor. A bearded scientist
remember
type
him.
character in a lab coat. He was introduced in 1971 and served as McDonald's local inventor and researcher. In the 1970s, he was a minor character who rarely spoke. Around the 1980s, the professor was a major character and he was redesigned to include a light bulb topped helmet
Really? I
and a
don't remember
mustache with his hair changing from brown to white.
Birdie,
Now,
What's
what were
going on with the
what were
Fry people?
pom-poms? Yeah.
The Fry
Fry
guys.
guys? Oh, the Fry guys.
Or Fry Kids. Fry Kids.
Kids.
The Fry Kids
Okay.
were created to promote McDonald's French fries. When they first appeared in 1972, they were called goblins and liked to steal and gobble up the other characters' French
Oh,
fries.
goblins! Like,
Accompanying-
oh.
Accompanying them was the "Keep Your Eyes on Your Fries" jingle, which I never heard. Their name was
Who's
later
the
changed.
treasure chest with the cheeseburgers in it? Or is that
Oh my God! I forgot about them.
is that where Hamburglar puts his stash?
And then his fucking pirate friend. What was his name? Captain Crook?
Captain Crook.
Captain Crook,
The
man.
hamburger patch first appeared in 1973 and was part of McDonaldland, where McDonald's hamburgers grew like fruit on plants from
Jesus.
the hamburger patch. Even though hamburgers in McDonaldland
right.
were anamorphized and spoke, they were picked by characters such as Ronald McDonald and the Hamburger for consumption.
But let's focus, if we might, on Ronald McDonald himself.
Yeah.
Because Ronald McDonald, see, the reason why Ronald McDonald's one of the G's is because he's fucking horrifying. Just
Tim
absolutely
Curry really nailed him in that Stephen King movie.
terrifying. Just look at him. Look at it. You
Never
want to
scared
see
me.
that walking into McDonald's? That thing used to horrify me. There was at the McDonald's on Long Island where I used to go. There was, and they're probably everywhere. I think I've seen him elsewhere. It's like, him on the
must be
bench.
this.
Yeah,
him
yeah,
on the,
yeah,
him on the
yeah.
bench, and he's like sitting, and I'm like, if I sit down, it's like a beginning of a horror movie.
He comes to life, grabs you.
Yeah.
Holy
I
shit!
feel like McDonald's was really trying their best to make clowns friendly and not scary.
Yeah.
And I'm
And they
not
failed.
sure it totally worked.
It's an abject failure.
No, I feel like that's the thing you see right when, like when you wake up from a day is not knowing where you're at and you're strapped to a table in some dungeon and that thing comes out.
to play a game.
No, I think it's just his logo, isn't it? I forgot about these guys who were the Happy Meal gang, a hamburger, fries, and regular size soft drink combination that was introduced in 1984.
I remember those toys.
The group was later joined by the McNugget Buddies. I forgot about those. I had them. You put a little police hat on them,
Yeah.
little police belt on them.
Jesus, I remember those toys.
Man, this was a whole thing. All right, Kev, go back to the
It's
list.
so insidious. It's so direct marketing just to children.
Yeah, I think some changed.
I mean, hey, shout out to
You'll kind of
McDonald's.
see the evolution in some of this
I
stuff.
haven't seen the birdie girl in a long time.
Yeah.
but I feel
Some stuff.
like I feel like
I feel like I don't even see Ronald McDonald that much anymore.
Ronald's still kicking
Which
it.
one was that guy's name?
But is he just going
Mayor
to children's
McCheese?
hospitals or is he in the
Yeah,
store?
we got
the
Mayor- we got Mayor
unelected
McCheese.
lifetime mayor of McDonaldland.
Yeah.
Not duly democratically elected at all. I want to see the ballots.
Also, that dude is definitely smoking crack.
Oh,
Look
is
at
that
him.
Jollibee coming up next?
So yeah,
my
so
God.
scroll down a bit. We got the B from Jollibee. Jollibee,
Jollibee freaks me out.
you need to leave.
I-
You're done.
90%
Fast
of our-
food spaghetti.
90% of our audience has never heard of
It's a
Jollibee.
Filipino-American restaurant that you would only find in California.
I remember
It's
leaving
no bueno.
Moscone for my first GDC and Jollibee was across the street. I'm like, what is this? And you walk over there, it's a hamburger patty and a ball of rice. I was like, what the fuck is this? What do you people eat here?
It's big in Daly City.
And it's
It's not big in Daly.
yeah, it's in Daly City. Yeah, this shit sucks,
Interesting
man.
fact about Daly City: one of only 2 cities in the country with over half of the population Asian.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say dead.
The other, also
Colma.
dead.
That's Colma.
Colma. No, I'm sorry. Cities of over 100,000 or more, half the population Asian. Only Daly City and Honolulu are the 2.
Wow.
Makes
There's
sense.
your factoid for
Good
that.
to
Makes
know.
sense. A lot of Jollibees.
A lot of Filipinos there.
This son of a
Sucks.
bitch.
He
I know, 'cause I
doesn't
lived with
deserve
one.
to be on this list.
He does not deserve to be on this list. Go down a bit more.
He ain't jolly for shit.
With the Chick-fil-A cow.
Yeah.
Eat more chicken.
I don't know, man. I don't like it.
So
I don't
it's
trust
not-
it.
it's not
They
the-
always try too hard.
It's not the cows. It's the message that's actually really funny and clever. That they're just desperate for you not to eat them. I think it's kind of cute and kind of clever. Whenever I see, I like taking pictures of them in the Chick-fil-A. It's just funny that they're basically illiterate. They can barely write, and they're just desperate for you not to kill them to eat the chickens instead. I think it's kind of cute.
Right.
It's not so much the cows. Who cares about the cows?
Here's the thing you don't get about it, Tim. It's an adult mascot, all right? You're talking about all these the Jollibees and your Fry Guys. Here I'm talking about a cow that doesn't want to be murdered. I understand that. I can get behind
you
that.
get behind that? I can't.
He also gets every Sunday off. And a shout out, by the way, to Chick-fil-A, the second best fast food restaurant after 5 years.
Oh, Five Guys in front of Chick-fil-A
yeah,
now.
it's got to come up now.
All right, Kev.
Chuck.
Does this
Not
count?
sure it
yeah,
counts.
this is fast casual.
But yo, and
counts.
again, because if once we bring him into it, he has a whole crew and there's a whole bunch of shit going on. But no. I'll give it to my boy
Mr. Chuck E.
Chucky.
Cheese.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. You just want to hang out, play video games with him, maybe whack some moles.
Oh, dude, Chuck E. Cheese used to be the place to be, man. The place to be. You guys, we've talked about Chuck E. Cheese before. I don't want to have to go down this rabbit hole again, but I will go down the rabbit hole.
I don't think we have.
Have we not?
That should be a different topic.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's how I got this scar on my forehead. Chuck E. Cheese, yeah, man. We used to go fucking wild in that place.
Used to kill people in Chuck E. Cheese.
Dude, people-
Get in the fucking street fights.
2-man enter, 1-man fucking leave, man. No, Chuck E. Cheese used to be what was funny. Well, first of all, it was terrifying because I had the animatronic like band. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
They used to have a little like a back room only for kids where you could get there by like a little rabbit hole, like a mouse
I've
hole.
talked about this.
Yeah. And I guess they figured out that was just a terrible idea. And then two things happened to me that I think forever made my mom not go to Chuck E. Cheese anymore. Once I was in a ball pit looking for, I guess, a quarter or a token, whatever the fuck I had dropped. And I felt someone grabbing my leg and I thought they were tickling me. So I kicked out hard. And when I popped my head above, and this is when I'm like 5 or 6 years old, I popped my head above the bubbles to see what's going on, and I just fucked this kid up. Like there was this kid that's maybe 2 or 3 and was like grabbing, and I just smashed the kid's like face in with my foot. And I was like, so that's dangerous. And then the next thing was, the next time I was there,
It's all like concave.
and the next time I felt so bad about that kid. I think I just split his lip open, but in my brain I
Sure, you
fucking
killed
permanently
him.
crippled this
You
kid.
got up, you're like,
forever.
I'll finish the job.
Yeah.
Kid's still in school.
And then, Jesus. And then I split my head open on a Pac-Man machine at a Chuck E. Cheese. once.
Jesus, that's not how I expected that to
Yeah,
go.
we were running. A bunch of us were running, and it was me, my brother, and one of our friends. I don't remember the kid's name.
Stu.
And we were no, it wasn't Stu. This was way before Stu. And Stu doesn't run. And we were running to the counter. It was when like the first, like when you were a kid, you'd get like the first 3 tokens for free or whatever it was when they threw a pizza party there. And we thought that meant the first person to get there got him. So we're running. We're all fat. We're running, and I'm already off balance. And this kid shoves me, and I go straight into the corner of a Pac-Man machine and just split that fucker open. And it used to be like all the way down right here. It's kind of receded a little bit.
It's like your lightning bolt, like your Harry Potter.
It's exactly like my Harry Potter lightning bolt. Except it looks more like a sausage. It's a small sausage.
See, you
My
guys
God.
are part of the corporate machine. I didn't go to no fucking Chuck E. Cheese. I went to Enchanted Castle, the local knockoff Chuck E. Cheese, where we had Toby the Dragon who sang to you. You got the pizza that was terrible there too. They had a Superman machine.
I was going to say, we
Ghostbusters
had Chuck E. Cheese and I went, but we had a thing called Spaceplex, which was really cool.
We had Discovery Zone, and more importantly,
DZ.
The Jungle. The Jungle,
Jungle, man.
superior to
What
all
was the
these
Jungle?
things. The Jungle, it focused on the
Jungle Gym, man.
jungle gym aspect, and it was This
See,
expanding complex.
before Discovery Zone came, and it did come and it killed this business, was Leaps and Bounds. And Leaps and Bounds is the same thing of like fucking giant tunnels in the air that you got in and you just crawled all over the fucking place with your dumb friends.
I always, even as a young, and this is not surprising to anyone that listens to this show, and certainly not at this table, but even as a young man, I often wondered about the business plan of a place that focuses on kids. Like I'm like, 13, 14 years old driving by with my dad, because there's Chuck E. Cheese right next to Home Depot. My dad practically lives at Home Depot. So I'd be there all the time, and I'd go by and I'd reflect to myself in the late 90s, like, why would you get involved in this business? It seems very wrought with danger, lawsuits, unpredictable clientele.
Yeah.
Not quite fully formed in the brain yet.
Dipshits, kids.
Just doesn't seem like it's worth the risk. Like, is anyone really making like hand over fist money in this market?
And the pizza's so cheap. How are they even making money?
What I think happened was the people that formed Chuck E. Cheese were like, we're in the wrong market. We should do the exact same thing, but make it 21 and over and sell alcohol. And that's how Dave and
Big old
Buster's
Dave and
came
Buster's.
about.
Are they the same parent company?
I have no idea.
Oh,
have
I
no
wouldn't be
idea.
surprised.
It
I
would
mean,
be interesting to see.
Dave and Buster's is so awesome.
They're
just opened
doubling
one
down for some reason.
at Ceremony. It's fantastic.
You got to have one someplace for people to go. To
That
drink,
to
play
me
games.
seems like, man, shows how limited our business or my business knowledge is. Because I look at something like that and I'm like, no. Like if someone was like, you want to invest in this? Be like, no. I wouldn't even look at the numbers. Like an arcade in 2017.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
I'm good.
Well, with
Drunk
booze,
people?
though. Yeah.
It changes the game.
All these
They're
idiots.
changing
want
these venues are
dates.
massive.
All right, Kev.
Well, now
Next
he's got
up.
a fucking
Next.
giant touchscreen doodle pad in there.
So we got a couple that we already talked about. We got the Fry Guys from McDonald's. Now, the Chihuahua from Taco Bell.
Yo
Sure,
quiero Taco
sure.
Bell.
There's a
my
picture
friend.
for this guy.
Yo quiero Taco
He looks
Bell.
good, Chihuahua.
Nope. There we
there
go.
he is.
There he is.
The homie. Actually, female Chihuahua.
What does that
RIP.
mean, Kevin?
It's actually advocating for people to read more.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Do you want to give it a shot? Do you want to try it?
Yo quiero Taco Bell. Because there's what's the upside down exclamation point?
That is the letter
Oh,
I.
yo querio.
It's like iPhone.
Taco Bell.
Yeah. Probably my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, I
I
think
fucking
so.
loved this thing. I love this thing so much. They eventually had the little plush of it that you could buy at Taco Bell. Bought one of them. Then they came out with like the variant versions of it where it had little like hats on or whatever. I had as many as you fucking can get.
Good for you.
Love those damn things.
You're a special
And then
kid.
it died and then they just stopped. Going back to our last topic, they could have CG'd this thing.
definitely still could.
But they're just like
Oh, so the dog himself died?
herself.
Oh, herself?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was
I mean, I'm sure it would happen at some
It
point.
was a female Chihuahua that they gave this fucking gruff ass voice in the commercials of some dude. I love everything about this. And then then it died. They didn't even replace it. They're just like, all right, I guess we're moving on to a new tactic.
Is that what happened? I thought I got in trouble because people found it offensive.
I mean, it did
cares?
die.
It's also super racist.
It did die.
It's
I
not
know it
that
died.
racist.
Kevin,
on the
can we-
racist level.
Can we get a minority report on how racist the Spanish-speaking Chihuahua is?
It's acceptable.
It's acceptable?
There.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't think it was that
Kevin
racist.
said
On the
something.
level
Yeah.
of racist to not racist, it's more not racist than it is racist.
But I think it's a different time, right? Like you're talking the 90s when
Sure.
they were still we didn't get to this 2017 PC nature thing. So to them they're like, "Huh, is this a problem?" And they thought about it long enough that they're like, "I guess it probably is." You know?
it's
Potentially.
It's I was just reflecting on the Taco Bell commercials not too long ago to someone where I was saying Taco Bell they don't really have the mascot thing anymore as far as I'm concerned, or that I see necessarily, but they are the masters of better than anyone else of making their food look chic and the people that eat there normal.
Yeah.
And that's like what I just have noticed that over the years, like the very handsome men, well put together, very beautiful women, very well put together. The food doesn't look anything like it looks at a real Taco Bell, like more extreme in that regard than any of the others. I think McDonald's a close second these days because they're fucking struggling real hard. By the way, Taco Bell in the sunset, gone.
gone?
Just gone.
Oh,
It's-
man. It's
That was a
happening.
long time coming though.
Yeah.
Like, well, because originally, all right, so it's been out of commission for months, and I'd walk by.
This is KFC Taco
Yeah,
Bell.
the KFC Taco Bell,
Please
which
mo-
is fucking disgusting.
Disgusting. That was
And-
one of the nastiest buildings I've ever been in my
And
entire life.
so it closed down, and then there were signs being like, under construction
Yeah, it's
or
like
something.
please-
Go to the ones in Judah, or
Yeah.
not Judah. Go to the ones in like the Sunset or the Richmond and whatever. And then the signs have changed recently, where it's just like visit, like close, visit other locations. So I think they just abandoned that place. Thank God. Because when I moved into the neighborhood, I was so excited that there was a Taco Bell KFC there, and that was the first place I ever ate when I moved, when I moved in with Scott Bromley and like walked all the way down there and stuff like that. And then never really again, except for like a few of our escapades when we thought it was funny to go to Taco Bell. The place is fucking gross. Not Taco Bell itself, but that
Taco Bell was bad. Hit me with it, Greg.
In July 2000, Taco Bell ended the Chihuahua advertisements, ended its relationship with their creator, TBWA, and replaced the company's presidents after same-store sales fell by 6% in the second quarter of 2000, the largest such decline in Taco Bell history. It was incorrectly rumored that Taco Bell ended the commercials because the dog died. Some Latin Americans accused the dog of being a cultural stereotype, and Tom Kenny, who is a friend of Carlos, who was the voice of the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants and Starscream, not in the original.
Said that Hispanic advocacy groups lobbying for the end of the campaign led to the cancellation of the Taco Bell dog. Then there was a lawsuit. There was 2 dogs used too.
2? What were the names?
Pico and De Gallo.
Gidget. Nicknamed the Taco Bell Chihuahua, was a popular advertising figure and mascot for Taco Bell restaurant from 97 to 2000. Was voiced by Carlos Alcurquizi and blah, 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 blah.
Well, that was the most racist thing we heard all day. Was the pronunciation of that name?
At least 2 dogs were used as models for the commercial, and the original dog cast for the lead role was named Dinky, but was replaced at the last minute by the director with the Chihuahua that was originally cast as the girlfriend named Gidget.
Love it.
Interesting.
I love
Interesting
it so
little
much. There's a
tidbits.
cinematic universe.
It might still be alive.
Taco was another Chihuahua.
Gidget would be
that was standing in for
28 years
Gidget.
old.
Yeah, that dog's dead.
Gidget died 2009, age 15.
Yeah, it was a really sad time for everybody.
2009. So she was like a puppy.
She was killing it.
Afterlife.
Damn. All right, Kev.
Lola can be the next.
Keep going.
Talk about though.
She could. Knock on wood.
She won't act.
The Hamburglar, we already talked about him.
Yeah,
we didn't need to bring up his whole fiasco last year.
A little bizarre bit of a character.
They did bring him back.
Yeah, but he was like he was a real man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked like
a good-looking dude.
He looked like he was gonna.
This is jacked.
He's gonna burgle something else.
Yeah, you just use your imaginations on what he was gonna do.
Fair.
So we got the oven
Oh,
mitt
the
from
Arby's oven mitt.
Get the fuck out of here.
Arby's
No.
best mascot is the guy right now who's just a We Have the Meats guy.
Oh yeah.
Arby's
have
best
the meats.
mascot is their fucking Twitter.
Yeah, their
account.
Twitter's
What's up
awesome.
with that?
It's awesome.
It's crazy. Like why? Like who the hell decided? It's like, you know what? Just make a bunch of video game jokes.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was
Wendy's is
telling.
killing
I was telling Greg recently that there's just some companies and some organizations that understand Twitter so well. And I was saying the one that understands it the best, I think, is the Columbus Blue Jackets hockey team. I'm telling you guys, go follow the Columbus Blue Jackets on Twitter. They're insane. It's like, I don't know, and most of the NHL teams are all buttoned up on there, but they're like out of control. And it totally works, and they get retweeted a bajillion times, and it's so funny. They just make fun of themselves, they make fun of other teams, they make fun of players, post like all sorts. I'm like, this is awesome. This is how you're supposed to do Twitter.
That's good marketing.
Unless you're me, that he posts really inflammatory political things.
There you go.
Did you see Wendy's though step up their Twitter game recently?
No.
They've been going crazy. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure I can read this exchange, right? Wendy's tweets out just the general thing. Our beef is way too cool to ever be frozen. Emoticon with the sunglasses. Thuggy D tweets, your beef is frozen. We all know it. Y'all know we laugh at your slogan, quote, fresh, never frozen, right? Like you're really a joke. And Wendy's response, sorry to hear you think that, but you're wrong. We've only ever used fresh beef since we were founded in 1969. Thuggy D, so you deliver it raw in a hot truck? Wendy's goes, where do you store cold things that aren't frozen? Thuggy D says, y'all should give up. McDonald's got you guys beat with that dope ass breakfast. Wendy's responds, you don't have to bring them into this just because you forgot refrigerators existed for a second there.
I love it. So good.
Get him!
All right, Kev.
The Noid!
They're bringing the
From
Noid back,
Domino's.
dude. They're bringing him back.
Until somebody kills somebody over the Noid again. That's what I always heard about the Noid, right? Is that somebody went... I'll find the thing. Talk about
I know what
the
you're
Noid
talking
for a
about. I
second.
think it might be an urban legend.
Is it? Oh, no.
The new commercial for Domino's has a bunch of people like Domino's super fans. Have you guys seen this commercial?
No.
It's like a bunch of Domino's super fans like doing all this crazy shit that apparently are all over the country. And one of the guys has the Noid tattooed on his arm, but the tattoo's from like the 80s. It's awesome. It's like people forget about the Noid and Yo
I
Noid.
forgot about the Noid.
Yo Noid, of course.
On January 30th, 1989, Kenneth Lamar Noid, a mentally ill man who thought the ads were a personal attack on him, held 2 employees of an Atlanta Domino's restaurant hostage for over 5 hours after forcing them to make pizza and making demands for $100,000. I'm sorry. $100,000. Getaway.
You're a terrible person.
Getaway transportation and a copy of The Widow's Son. Noid surrendered to the police.
That is an amazing
After
story.
the incident ended, Police Chief Reed Miller offered an assessment to reporters. Quote, he's paranoid, end quote.
Annoyed.
Wow. That is an amazing. I'm surprised that's never been made into a movie. That is a great story. What's that?
No.
Would we
That's
be laughing
disappointing.
if someone died?
The
Kevin?
incident caused Domino's
Yes.
Pizza to discontinue advertising the noise.
How many other people named Noid could there possibly have been?
Thought it was a personal affront.
That's hilarious. That is fucking
Thank
hilarious.
God nobody died. But come on.
Avoid the Noid.
At the end of the movie, it's some dude that hated that guy and fucking.
It was all about him.
That would have been really
All
fun.
right, next up, we got Jack, who I think
He's the best.
is the best. I think that he was designed as an answer to be the more grown up response to these things. He's like, yo, I'm a mascot. The kids can like me because I go on your car and
Antenna-
shit.
antenna
But
poppers.
also, I'm like not too kiddie like the Chevron cars. Remember the Chevron cars?
yeah. They
like-
gobbled up that gas.
Yeah.
Gobbled up your dick. you
Jack
know
knew
what I'm
what's
saying?
up, and he was a businessman.
that
Jack's there. He's trying to like sell you on his new products
Yeah,
and stuff.
definitely. Always in a suit. Sometimes they caught him at night when he was in his jammies.
Here's my question
liked
about
it.
Jack in the Box. As someone who Jack in the Box was not in Chicago when I was coming up, and then not in Missouri when I was coming up. Didn't ever see a Jack in the Box till I moved to California. And at that point, I thought they had gone out of business because I had only heard of Jack in the Box on 2020 when that kid almost died from eating.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had. I want to say we did have Jack in the Box. I remember it. I don't know if it's a false memory on Long Island, like a long time ago. And then they had a huge salmonella
the
disaster,
Kid,
and they just
little
fucking,
kid almost died, and they all.
and then it was gone. But I also visited California as a kid, and so I don't know if I have that memory of it too. So I don't know.
was Jack? Was he always how he is now? This irreverent guy making
Yeah.
the funny commercials. And okay, so your entire life and everything else,
I mean, well, I think originally he was just the ball.
just a face.
Just the ball with the.
When did these commercials
the
that
hat.
are really good? Because the commercials are
Must've been
awesome.
I want to say the
late
last
90s,
Really?
early 2000s.
I was gonna say in the last
Yeah.
10 years
I thought
maybe.
yeah. No, I mean, I would have thought early 2000s.
And shout out to you have
came
to
back.
do some follow up here. The wife in the Jack in the Box commercial, because there was one time where she was in 3 separate commercials that ran during football, where she was the wife to different people all over the place. It was Jack, and then it was like 2 other guys.
That's
in
so
other
good.
weird ass shit.
But yeah, Jack in the Box is one of the ones that to me is really near and dear to me because it was closest to my house growing up.
Kevin, that's like 8-point font. No one knows what that
Someone
is.
died. A little kid died. 6-year-old died.
From Jack in the Box?
E. coli.
That I know
I love
happened.
Jack
I
in the
know
Box.
that happened, but what
I
I'm
love it
curious
a
is
lot.
if they expanded to the East Coast and then truncated again after that. Because it's similar to what happened to what's happening in Chipotle now, where Chipotle is like eating fucking shit right now because of all the food-borne issues that they're having. I wonder if it was a similar kind of thing back then.
Jack in the Box gave the people what they wanted, and I appreciated that. They were like, we're not going to play these games if you can only get breakfast at this time. So you want breakfast at 3 a.m.? You got breakfast at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You want breakfast at 6 a.m.?
94. The restaurant rebounded in popularity in 1994 after a successful marketing campaign that featured the fictitious Jack in the Box chairman Jack character voiced by
Kids died.
a bunch of kids died.
Yeah, I remember
Eye.
that. But I think it's Jack in the Box. I don't think it's Hardee's or something like that. They also have the commercials without Jack. I think it's them that are clearly aimed at late night stoners. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Late
where-
Night Munchie Meal?
Yeah, like that's them, right? Is that Jack or is that Hardee's?
That's Taco Bell.
Fourth meal is Taco Bell. The late
there's
night
ones-
munchie meal from Jack in the Box is, like I said, give the people what they want. Best deal in fast food, bar none. $7, you get a box. You get to choose whatever burger you want. And the burgers are like the crazy burgers. It's like, you want fucking Cheetos on your burger? You want some hot Cheetos on your burger? It's like, yeah, you want to do that. Then you get they give you the tacos. Shout out to Jack in the Box tacos. But then they give you fries and curly fries. Why make decisions? $7 gets you it
Genius.
all.
You need them both because you can't make it. You know why they did that? Someone did a cost benefit analysis and they're like, people cannot fucking choose between the fries when they're stoned at 2:00 in the morning. You just got to give them both.
Late night munchie meal, man.
Burning
They know
through
that-
money
they know
here.
their
Their
audience.
commercials are so weird though that advertise them that are like clearly aimed at people that are stoned.
Oh, my
and
God.
I was saying to someone they seem to be aimed at people that are stoned at the time they're watching them. Which to me, I'm like, that's a little dangerous game you're playing because now you're getting people. But
I've
gotta have
only
a-
ever been to Jack in the Box post drinking. Like I've never in my life been like, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go to Jack in the Box.
Yeah, no, I've never done that either. I
It's
had
always
a
been
bad
the
experience
only
with Jack in the
thing
Box
open.
once. Actually, that kind of turned me off.
As soon as I got here, I drove to the one I think over at Colmo, that BART station, right? There's one over there by the Home Depot area. No, anyways, doesn't really
no,
matter at all for the story.
around the
It was the
area.
first Jack in the Box I'd ever seen, so I drove over there to get a beer, or not to get a burger because I never had it before.
They're like, sir, we don't serve beers.
I love Jack in the Box. So Kevin went away. So we're gonna be a little behind. But to get ahead of this, Little Caesar.
I asked him for a beer, and that's why.
Little Caesar pizza.
What? Come on.
Well, because Little Caesar's pizza meant something when it happened, and then it didn't mean anything for a long time. And then it meant something again. Like Little pizza was like you get 2 pizzas for the price of 1. That was the idea of him fucking saying it. So when they stopped doing that, then the whole pizza thing became redundant.
Well, then they went crazy, and now they like doubled down on the 555 deal.
I know.
With
Yeah.
pizzas now, it's
What a fall from grace.
$5 for a large pizza, and it's just like, yeah, but it tastes like cardboard.
Little Caesar's pizza used to be awesome.
It was good.
When it was fresh, it was awesome.
It was good. When I was poor, though, when I first moved here, I used to eat. At the corner of Geneva and Mission, there's a Little Caesars that I used to go to all the time. You just walk out of there with $5 for a fucking pizza and just dip it in Wishbone Italian dressing all night.
Yeah, there was when I lived
liter
with
of
Mike
pep.
over in South San Francisco. There was one, where there was a $5 when I'm making fucking shit money at IGN. I was able to go over there when we first started, and I was doing it all the time. But what breaks my heart is that, back in the Miller household, Friday night was always pizza night. It's you reward yourself for not blowing your brains out this week. Let's eat a fucking pizza. You know what I'm saying? And so for a long time, it was the local establishment, Baroni's, downtown Glen Ellen, delicious, amazing. Some point, I don't know if they had a fight. I don't know what my parents had against Baroni's. We stopped going there, and I think we got. That's when
You should look into that.
We moved to Little Caesars, and this is right at the point where Little Caesars is like, we need to change the game. Pizza Hut's putting cheese in their crust. We're going to put cheese in our crust, but put pepperoni in it as well. And then like people love crazy bread. Let's put cheese in that and pepperoni in that. And I will never forget being so excited and eating that stuff and being old enough to know this is bad. I probably shouldn't eat this each week, or at least my parents should make me exercise. But I didn't stop, and I just kept going.
And here we are today.
Yep.
It all makes
It
sense.
turned out okay.
Keep going,
For
Kev.
everyone.
So next up, we got Ronald McDonald. We can skip him.
The G.
Yeah, please get it off the screen.
There we go. The
King.
The king.
The King was great.
The King made a comeback, man. He used to be this little punk ass motherfucker, and then he came out and he's like, I'm creepy as hell. They doubled down on the McDonald's thing. They're like, we get it. He's creepy. Let's make a joke out of this and turn it into a beef.
My thing was beef.
No
nice.
pun intended.
My thing was what. Was he a thing before? I don't remember there being a Burger King that I saw until this.
There was, because remember they had the crowns.
I remember.
Crowns.
I'm not saying the crowns didn't exist. I'm just saying I don't remember there being a visual representation of Burger King.
There was a king, a little cartoon king, but like no one gave a fuck about him.
I don't feel like Burger King gets its proper.
No.
Its proper
Burger King
kind
is
of
the
praise.
Pepsi of fast foods.
This is what
Burger King is really actually very good.
This is what we were talking about last
Depending
week
on
when
what
you
you
came
eat.
in. Burgers.
They're way better at Burger King.
Burger King better than McDonald's.
You guys are
Definitely.
so
There's no doubt about that.
crazy.
The fries.
true.
The fries are. No one can compete with McDonald's
yeah,
fries.
no.
It's not. It's not
The
possible.
Whopper fucking sucks.
No.
Who's ordering the Whopper? Just get a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
Double
but the Whopper
cheeseburger.
doesn't suck. The Whopper doesn't suck.
Oh, those fancy burgers are fancy.
The Whopper is really, really fantastic if it's made properly, and that's a really important thing because there's so many toppings on it that can be made very frivolously and very poorly,
all
and then it
gross
falls
and
apart.
sloppy and falls
the more
apart.
Here's a suggestion: just get the double or triple. Get a lot of cheese on there, keeps it all together, makes it nice construction. Keep the paper around it, eat it like that. I used to love
you
Burger King.
can't take it out of the paper. You got to eat the paper.
I mean, I've told you many times when I was at Northeastern, I used to go to Burger King all the time, and then it just disappeared.
What
one
happened
day.
to the Burger King? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows what happened to Burger King. One day it was just gone, but God, I spent thousands of dollars in that place probably when because probably every college they put money. You can put money on this card.
Yep.
You know,
We did
and
that,
then,
yeah.
and so at the beginning of every semester, you just had what we used to call free money.
Yeah.
Especially remote used to call free money. We just used to go spend at Burger King, and you get a lot of bang for your buck. That was before I realized I could just start stealing from the dining hall instead. So I started doing that instead.
At Mizzou, that was that's the first until we not even moved here until we started going other places. That was the first and only Chick-fil-A experience I had. Mizzou's little food court had a Chick-fil-A in there, and you go over there and eat those sandwiches and be like, fucking Jesus. I know it's going to be better there, and it's awesome here.
I feel like in the world there's McDonald's people and then there's Burger King people. I feel like all the rest of them are kind of just extra shit. It's like, oh, I like McDonald's, but I also like Jack in the Box.
I think
and
part of this
Arby's,
comes down
whatever.
to my aversion to onions and the fact that McDonald's are on by default and Burger Kings aren't.
Yep,
When you
I
get a
used to get them
cheeseburger.
added, but they don't. Yeah, they only put pickle, ketchup, mustard.
And that's
unfortunately.
exactly what I want on my burger. So it's just fucking perfect. Flame broiled, delicious.
Let me tell you a quick story, quick anecdote. Went to Jake's Steaks yesterday in the Marina, which is a cheesesteak place. Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good. Saw in the back display case a smorgasbord of drinks, soft drinks. They had Coke and they had Pepsi.
You're the Pepsi?
Went with the Pepsi
Nice,
last night.
nice job.
Went with the Pepsi last night.
Let me go tit for tat with that. I joined the Burger King Kids Club growing up.
All right, so we're getting there.
So I just want to talk about my pen pal David, but
to
nobody
go through the
did.
list real quick. Long John Silver. I don't even know who the fuck that guy is.
Long John Silver is a seafood restaurant.
No, I know that, but
Oh.
who's the mascot?
Probably a
the-
pirate.
The
No, he's got the hat that goes like this.
You're thinking of the
remember.
Gordon's Fisherman.
Never went there
Does
even
not
once.
deserve number 3 on
Really?
this list.
Oh,
I fucking hate seafood.
big old
That's
Greg
true.
Miller loved himself some Long John
I'm
Silver's.
sure you loved whatever fried breaded shit was being put in front of your face.
Oh, no, I'm talking about my dad. My dad.
Oh,
loved
you're
Long John.
big
big old Greg
big
Miller.
old
Yeah,
Greg
yeah,
Miller.
yeah. We
Well,
go there, get
he's
some
skinny.
hush puppies.
He's skinny, so
Yeah.
he's doing something.
We
right.
call him the camel.
Wendy's,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, I like briefly when they brought out the real Wendy and started after Dave Thomas
everyone
died.
hated it. Yeah, Dave Thomas was the homie, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, they brought his daughter out. Everyone
Yeah.
hated her. Then they brought out the hot.
Yeah. I'm just,
redhead.
all right, cool. I'm just some who I always meant to do when I was still doing Gregways back in the day. So this is a deep cut. I started trying to gather footage because I wanted to do a Gregway about her fall from grace. Because she went from being a magical creature who popped into your car when you were thinking about Wendy's and took you to Wendy's, and then she just started working boring office jobs where she's just like, "Oh guys, you want to go to Wendy's today, guys? I'm eating a salad." I'm like, weren't you like a fucking angel or a pixie or something? Now you got no magic.
I don't remember any of this. That's crazy.
So last on the list is the Colonel.
They're fucking the Colonel
shout
up
out
right
to
now.
the Colonel.
What is up with this?
Shout out to the Colonel generally, but not what they're doing now.
This rotating cast of colonels.
Yeah,
I'm not
because
a fan.
it's a different. He was Norm Macdonald for a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. It's been on the schedule where it was him. It was Daryl Hammond. It's now Ron Riggles, whatever his name is. There's somebody else in there too. I'm forgetting, but yeah, it's been weird. They're like, well, just pick somebody.
Yeah.
Just make, or don't even do this at all.
Daryl Hammond needs the work. Just let him be the Colonel for God's sake.
He's waiting for Bill Clinton to do something.
Yeah.
God, he's like, fuck. Why couldn't Hillary have won? God, I would have so many guest appearances.
So to close out this topic, we've been talking a lot about most of these mascots were created in the 70s, right? The Sponge Monkeys or whatever the fuck, that was obviously an abomination of the early 2000s or whatever.
Sure.
But the 90s were a really special time. That brought us the Burger King
Kids Club. Yeah, there they are.
Can you expand that a bit, Kev? This is the most 90s group of motherfuckers you could possibly
That's why I wanted to hang
assemble.
out with them, man.
All right? We got Jaws, the cool, tall, black guy, right?
Yeah.
Then we got the ambiguously, like, what race is
Ethnic.
he?
Yeah, he's ethnic. He looks like Alfredo.
Yeah, Lingo. There he is. Then what's the girl's name, Kev? Can you see?
Boomer.
We got Boomer.
Boomer Sooner.
Little sports girl. Then we got Wheels. The kid in the wheelchair.
They're trying to be inclusive, but also offensive.
So that's the thing, is like when you try so hard, then you got, of course, the cool dog with the helmet, IQ, the nerdy kid with the glasses, Kid Vid, who was like the mascot.
I remember
of it.
him. I
And, like,
remember
he had a
Kid
little
Vid,
blaster and
yeah.
shit, and you can get his
Yeah.
toys. And then what's the other girl's name?
Snaps.
Snaps.
Snatch.
Yikes,
Just call
Burger
her
King.
vagina.
Anyway, these guys, I remember they were the homies.
Did you join the Burger King? Of
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a pen pal?
I never did all that.
I had a pen pal
they
through
had
it,
the toys.
which is so weird to think about that I mailed into Burger King and they're like, all right, here's some other random kid's address. Enjoy talking to him. I mean, this kid did. We corresponded over our joint love of Burger King, I
How
guess.
long? Do you have the letters?
No, I doubt it. I doubt
Really?
that
That's
anymore.
too bad.
I know.
That would be great.
That would be great. I think his name was David, so if you're out there, David, I vaguely remember we sent photos of each other.
All your weird fan fiction
he had a
of
little coonskin
Boomer.
cap on.
Did he really?
Yeah.
No, you should have known then. It's Benjamin Franklin wannabe motherfucker.
Davy Crockett.
Benjamin Franklin first.
Nah, Davy Crockett. Everybody knows Davy Crockett had the coonskin cap.
When Benjamin Franklin was in France as our ambassador
Oh,
in the American
wink.
Revolution, he used to wear a coonskin cap on purpose to make the Americans look like they were very quaint because it made the French want to work with us more. And they thought that they thought we were very strange, so he would like always wear the coonskin cap, like even at dinner, or like state dinners.
And so then when they came over, they were expecting coonskin everywhere. They didn't find any.
when Alexis de Tocqueville came over decades
Where
later,
are the hats?
he's like,
He's
"What's
wearing
going
them.
on?"
He brought a whole bunch of ones.
That's a true story. Yeah, he always used to wear the coonskin cap to play off his Americanism because they always thought that was really cool and
Is
quaint.
this
They're like,
before
yeah,
or
we'll
af-
give you money.
Is this before or after he discovered electricity?
Fools.
It was after he discovered electricity.
Gotcha.
He didn't discover electricity, but it was after he discovered it.
We got zapped by a lightning bolt in his kite.
Well, he figured out that lightning was electricity.
Fried
That-
off the top of his hair, and then
knew
he had
it.
to start wearing the coonskin cap.
Right.
Well,
Well,
went back in time.
It's very fat.
Gotta go back. How fat was he?
I don't know how fat he was. I want to say he was pretty fat, especially for the time.
Yeah.
If you guys watch John Adams on HBO, it's a fantastic series, by the way. Paul Giamatti's John Adams, really great. Based on
I think Kevin's asshole literally just tore open.
based on the David McCullough.
Sliding the keyboard, you idiot.
Based on the David McCullough book, it's
okay to
really,
fart.
really great. There's a great scene of him wearing a coonskin cap in a bathtub, naked, with like some French chick playing chess. He apparently was like a total womanizer and totally like out of control over that.
Who played him in the HBO series?
Benjamin Franklin? I
Yeah,
don't remember. There's a lot of famous.
The Rock.
The Rock played him. Yeah, The Rock.
Oh, I gotta look that up now.
Great show. Fucking great show. Love it.
Colin, what's your topic?
The weather.
It's raining right now.
Not specifically the weather now.
Kevin, throw open that window. I want to see how, because it's not even just raining. It's like fucking storming. It's windy. Shit's blowing around.
It's not that bad.
It was really bad.
By
earlier
California
today.
standards, it's pretty bad.
It's really annoying is what it is.
I love it.
I hate it so much. I don't know. See, you're one of those people, obviously. How can you like the rain? How? What about it
Rain's
is
nice.
cool?
It inspires
it's like,
me.
cool, when you're inside and it's all nice. It's like, oh, I guess I can sit here and write and I can sit here and play games. I can sit here. I get all that
It's an
stuff.
excuse.
But then when you go outside, it's like, this is the worst thing of all time.
Why are you going outside?
But rain just causes problems even when you're inside. Like you do not have a chance of flood when it's not raining. You do have a chance of flood when it is raining. Everything gets all fucked up. It's dumb.
You might die.
So dumb. To be fair though, I don't like the heat either. I like San Francisco being San Francisco.
Yeah, fall.
Give me 65 degrees. Call it a damn day. There's no competition. I understand New York has it worse. I understand LA is hotter. Texas
Really hot.
On the sun.
Texas just needs to fucking stop.
Yeah.
Texas has these heat storms that are just so hot where I'm like, why? Who could live on this in this world? And then they have their thunderstorms and lightning storms, and it's just like, oh,
Tornadoes.
this is just natural. We're flooding right now, but it's just cool. Nah, guys, figure your shit out.
Well, the major thing about that, the South and Southwest specifically, like that I always think about is people lived there. Like the oldest city in North America, founded city by European colonists, is Santa Fe. And that was founded in the 1500s. Could you fucking imagine being down there? Well, there's probably like a few hundred people of your kind even anywhere on the continent. And you're walking around like in that fucking heat with 500 years away from air conditioning. That's a terrible kind of thing. I don't know how anyone ended up down there. No wonder we didn't want to go further south. The thing I want to ask about weather was, what is the perfect weather? And Tim had asked that or answered that question because I concur. I miss seasons, and I think there's something to be said about that. I think it changes the way you think and the way you feel. And watching the leaves fall, watching the snow come down for the first time, watching flowers pop out of the watching flowers pop.
I'm watching you do that every Friday night.
Watching flowers pop out of the soil and March, April. I remember I used to get really excited about that when I was a kid. Like we had these all these different plants in front of our house, and you kind of predict like when they would come up and start to bud and stuff like that. And so I miss that, but at the same time I think about the horrors of winter, and especially in Boston, but New York winters are no joke either, and all that. And then I came to realize that I think the best part of San Francisco, not so much rainy season, which happens and it seems to be quite bad this year, is the 9 months or so of uninterrupted mild weather that requires no more than a sweatshirt.
But can always use one. You know?
Yeah,
Fashion over function. You can wear whatever the hell you want.
It's
and you're
really
fine.
it's really kind of an interesting and unique and special place in that regard. Like San Francisco has some things going for it and some things not going for it. But I think one of the things that is somewhat understated by people that visit is the great weather. Because I think when people come to California, they expect Los Angeles type weather, and you get that if you go to Sacramento, or you get that if you go to the San Jose. But there's just something about this specific microclimate on the peninsula that's just all fucked up. And you saw it again. You just see it actually even in times like this. The rain we've been getting in the city is not even remotely like the rain everyone else is getting for some reason. Like people are getting destroyed by the storm. North of us, south of us, inland. But for some reason, San Francisco is just getting normal rain. And then you watch the local news and they're like, down in San Jose is fucking apocalyptic. And I'm like, it's only 45 minutes away. What is protecting us from this is this weird microclimate kind of thing. So I have to give a shout out to San Francisco's weather and say that all things being equal, it has the finest weather. And if I ever left here, and I assume one day I will, that's the thing I will miss the most is that, you can't take that for granted, that we don't have to bundle up here. You don't have to fucking sweat it out here. There might be a day or two of both every year, but otherwise, like I like the idea of like, I'm just going to I've actually gotten into the habit of even checking the weather. And which is makes times like this very unique as opposed to New York or Boston, where it's like, it's a fucking shit show. So
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here, so I'm very familiar with how the weather patterns work. And for me, especially in school, it was a bigger deal because I would have to take the bus and I didn't have a car and all that. So it was the first week or so when you come back to school. So you're talking like early September, maybe late August. There would just be 2 weeks of heat. Mm-hmm. And it was always like way hotter than it will ever be the rest of the year. Then all of a sudden it just goes right back to what it was. And then somewhere it always changes, but either December, January, or February, there will be this like 30 days of just rain and wetness and freezing cold. But I will say it's colder now than I think it's ever been. It's never been this cold here. It's weird. And so many people I know are bringing that up as well, where they're just like, what the hell? Like, why is it so cold now?
Yeah, it has been excessively cold over the last, like I said, last week was probably the coldest I've ever been in San Francisco, which to the point where I was like, I can't go barefoot in my apartment because the hardwood floors are freezing my foot. I'm kind of like, I'm torn because I love the weather up here. I love that we have seasons. I love my favorite season. I love when fall happens and you start feeling that briskness in the air and you're like, oh, I might need a coat. But I still got to go with Southern California's weather. I got to go with LA's weather or San Diego, where it's just kind of warm all the time. Sometimes it's excessively hot.
I was gonna say, it's not kind of warm. You're melting.
Well, I mean, it depends on when you go down there, but for the most part, it's just warm outside and nice. And you can wear shorts and flip flops and t-shirts everywhere, and it's awesome. And I do miss those days of like there was no question. I was going to wear for like 6 months out of the year, it was just I'm gonna wear shorts and flip flops unless I'm at work. That's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And like no matter what, you were just kind of like, kind of breezy. It was fun.
To not just be a hater, I will give a shout out to LA and Texas nights.
Oh yeah.
Like when it's a warm night, not the horrible stormy nights in Texas.
Sure.
But
A thunderstorm's fun.
No, they're the worst. They're even worse than this. Because then it's like, great, there's a 50% chance of a blackout. Like, there's nothing fun about the rain. There's nothing fun.
The rain's fun.
No. What's fun? Give me the rundown.
The sound. Like earlier today when I mentioned it today or in the morning show, I wanted Nick to kill the lights and just sit here and listen to the rain hitting the rooftop.
YouTube.
Because it was coming down.
Just look it up. You'll find
I don't want to YouTube.
Search for fucking I am an idiot.
Wow.
That's the file that'll come up.
Wow, okay. No, you're wrong about all that. See, the problem is that right now it's the winter storm of rain here, so it's cold out as well. I love a good summer thunderstorm, especially when it is that oppressive fucking heat all the time. You're in the suburbs of Chicago, it's humid, it's hot, and then those dark clouds start rolling in, and that shade gets cast down, and there's that chill in the air all of a sudden. You're like, oh, it's going to happen. You go there, and you still have your windows open. It's like middle of the day, you're off school, you lay on the couch, and you play a game, and you just hear it coming down out there, and like lightning bolts and fucking shit. Dark clouds.
Then all of a sudden you can't play games anymore because there's a power outage.
Yeah, maybe you do. Maybe you blew it.
Then you have to go outside, and it's like great. Now
you don't have to go outside. I don't understand what you're doing so outside.
You have to go do something. There's a task that requires you to go to school or do some bullshit.
So
like
you
that.
get in the car, you drive where you're going. You go from your upstairs to your garage into the car. You're out. This is the thing when people are always like, "Oh, it's so cold." And all this stuff. You get in there.
The privilege
there's
that you
from,
have,
from
Greg.
the car to the restaurant, from the restaurant to the car, from the car to the Walmart to the. You're not. It's not like you're fucking
Parking lots.
walking.
You got everyone's out when it's raining, so it's like it's a disaster in terms of car. The worst part about the rain and transportation is everyone's driving, so you can't go to like a mall or a restaurant because every motherfucker's there because they're trying to get away from this shit. Or you're a kid that has to take the bus, and then everyone's on the bus. Then you get on the bus, and it feels like a New York subway station where it's the hottest thing ever. It's fucking terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, I will say that the one thing that is missing from your experience and your experience that you guys will never experience, it's too late now, is the joy of the snow day. And because winter, I love winter. I fucking love winter. I think blizzards and like these disaster snowstorms are the fucking best, man. I have great memories of like, especially living when I was younger and those times I spent in New England, but also Long Island. I remember building a huge snowman with Mike Pope in the middle of the street. And then watching a school bus just plow it, which was like, no, I don't mean literally plow it, just to fucking run it over. It was really awesome. And I remember being in 6th grade and walking out in Maine when I lived there for a little while. The snow was up to like my chest. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And you guys can't understand, Greg knows, but the trepidation of the night before, you hear the snow's coming. You know it's snowing. You have to have the timing just right. You're watching the local news, and on the bottom is all the school closing, scrolling.
You
it's like 2 hour
inevitably
delay.
have a geometry test or some bullshit that next day that you're terrified. Like, you're like, I don't want to study for this. They're predicting it's a real storm. I'm probably gonna get the snow day, but I gotta kind of study. But I don't want to. But I gotta kind of.
And it's just amazing. News 12 on Long Island was the local kind of thing, and you'd watch it, and they'd have it just scrolling, and then you'd always, every once in a while, everyone got fucked once in a while, where everyone was closed except for you. You had a 2 hour delay.
No.
You know, or you had to just go, and it's like, well, why? You know, all these other places around us are closed. But then you'd have the one where it was like, I remember there was like a week or two continuous just closed schools.
Was it snow or cold?
It was snow.
See, for us, I think I had way more cold days than I did snow days.
Cold days?
Where it is too cold to go outside. We're afraid a pipe has burst. The similar what you're saying, something froze and took out a power line. It is just too cold. Don't come. I remember being at a 5th grade basketball practice, and there was like it started like that scuttlebutt of somebody over the parents of the coaches, and some parents said it, and it kind of like spread through the crowd that this might happen. At the end, like Anthony Diarco's mom came down and was like, no school tomorrow. It's too cold.
The phone chain.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The phone trees. Yeah.
Yeah, phone trees. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's like a special kind of joy because my sisters are teachers in Virginia, and it gets snow down there, not as bad as we did, but any snow. It's like kind of like rain here. Like no one understands rain in San Francisco. I've never seen anyone the way people drive here, even when it's raining. I'm like, what's going on? Like it's not like the end of the fucking world, you know.
To be fair, driving in the rain is very scary, and it's like
Just go a little bit slower.
But you're just more used to. What I'm saying is that you're just not used to it here, as opposed to out
What?
in other parts.
Was that a look at me?
Is your microphone on? Because I'm not going to engage you unless you put your microphone on.
Was that a look at me because of what happened Saturday?
Yeah, when you lost control of the car 3 times?
That wasn't my fault.
it's the rain's fault because
It's the
the rain
rain's
is fucking
fault.
stupid.
Maybe you just drive a
no,
little bit
there
slower.
were big puddles, and I told you.
And that's why you should avoid them, not hydroplane. Just drive a little slower.
Come on, it was fun. We made it.
It
through
was
at the
fun.
end.
It was also fun when we were driving, your car just turned off. Never seen that before with your truck. But
Me
we're
neither.
we're in the road and
It's a
it
new
turned off. Okay.
experience.
So I'll say this. I'll leave it here. Shout out to weather, but also shout out to just being able to observe but not necessarily live in it.
Sure. Yeah.
And winter, everything's dead. It's snowy. Those are the times I remember playing video games. I have specific memories of specific games and specific weather systems or
Mario
these
64.
storms or things that would come through. I get so excited, man, when because it's October, November, December, not January, but like back in the day, games would come out during this time. So I remember just hoping and praying I can play more Tales of Destiny if it would just snow, and then it would
Yeah.
snow, and you get a snow day, and mercifully on a Friday or a Monday, get a long
my
weekend.
God. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
Best.
it was the absolute best. But then it was so bad when the snow would come too early, too late.
You're on the precipice and nothing. I always hated when
I
it was a
remember that game.
prediction.
I'll never forget that.
The weathermen predict it's going to be terrible. Don't expect to go to school tomorrow, and then you go to school tomorrow. Fuck.
I'll never forget
Weather
that.
sucks for the most part. I'm with you. Like I miss fall. I like it. Now it's kind of like when your friends have kids and you get to visit, be like the cool uncle, and then just bounce. It's like, oh man, I miss fall. I go back to Columbia, hang out for a football game. It's nice. It's cool. I'm putting on sweatshirts, and like it's colder than it is in San Francisco, and the trees are doing their shit. I'm like, yeah. Then I come back to San Francisco where it's always the same. And same thing this past trip where, cool, I'm gonna go to Montreal. I'm gonna for winter, and it's like fucking snowing. The bejesus out there. It's all fun. It's beautiful. It's all this stuff. But I can already see the cars covered in that gray fucking film of the salt and all that garbage. And I'm like, ooh, no, this is around. I remember in Chicago, this is like this as soon as that first snowfall hits in like maybe late November, usually December, and then until it like April, May, that film is on every fucking car. I'm like, I don't want to, I can't, not a fan
Yeah,
of that.
it's disgusting.
But it was
It's
fun to
disgusting.
visit and see it and put on snowshoes and walk around and slide a bit and see Porty in the snow again. But then I got to come back here to where it's pretty normal except for right now when it's raining. But even this is normal. I expect the rain like this. But it's not the fun rain. Because even when I go back to when I went to St. Louis for a friend's birthday and it was tornado season. And we're out there and the sky goes dark. And we're like, oh shit, everybody go inside. And like, oh, man, the sirens are going. It's pitch black. It's hailing. I'm filming. We're out there drinking beers. So I'm filming the hail. I'm like, this is so cool. Then the tornado siren goes off. We're like, all right, let's go downstairs to the basement. We go downstairs to the basement. I'm filming out the window. It's like, yes. I remember this and I miss it, but I don't need to live
Hold on.
it.
You said that this isn't the fun one. You then went on to describe what is supposed to be the fun one involving going to a basement and sirens.
The amount of times as a Midwest child I have been in a tornado, or not even in a tornado. I've been in a few tornadoes like that. But the amount of times I've been in a tornado warning, like if sirens going off, it's really happening. You're like, it's not happening here. It doesn't happen here. It's the houses are too packed together. I was outside. This is when my friend lives in St. Louis, but in Soulard, right outside. This is a section of the city, right outside the Budweiser Brewery. No tornado's gonna come through there, but the sky looks menacing. Yeah, let's go down. You know what I mean? It's not gonna get you, but just in case you go down there.
No, I get that, but
Yeah.
you described that as fun.
Hey, well, yeah. Okay. I mean, I missed it. I haven't had it happen in so long. Again, that chill in the air all of a sudden. The hail and the rain stop suddenly, but it's still pitch black out. You're like, oh man, this is cool. We could all die real soon, but we're not going to.
It's a thrill. I get it.
There was one time in Colombia where, yeah, it was me and my ex, and she was like, I need to go get a dress for a wedding or whatever. And like, I'm like, all right, cool. There's a storm system now. Let's just go. And we drove down I-70, which is a terrible idea. And we got like an hour into the ride, but only made it like 45 minutes outside of where we should have been an hour. And then we got to where all the semis were blown over on the road, like all these semis. And I'm like, all right, let's turn around. This is a bad idea.
Probably a
We'll
bad
go back.
idea.
Yeah. We tried. Colin, it's my topic. My topic's La La Land. I have seen La La Land. You boys have seen La La Land.
yes.
Kevin, has you seen La La Land? I'm taking a shot in the dark there. All right, cool. We're going to talk about La La Land now. If you haven't seen La La Land, turn off the podcast or come back later. Nicholas.
Yes.
You were very adamant that we need to do this topic.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I think this is a special movie. I think
movie's
this was
fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think this was a movie that that really took me by surprise. I saw the preview for it, and from the very
You mean like the trailer?
yeah, the trailer for it rather. And from the second that Emma Stone walks into the bar,
Yeah.
and he just immediately walks up and kisses her.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this is going to be something different and something unusual and something cool. And I was hoping very much that I would like it. And sure as shit, when I went and saw it, it got me. I'm like, this is a modern day musical. Musicals, for the most part, don't really exist anymore unless there's something huge happening on Broadway or someone decides to revive an older, already established musical. But this is an original musical that has been made into a movie. This, by all accounts, shouldn't have happened. Right? Like, there's just not really a system that we have in our modern day society where it's acceptable to just be like, musical? Yeah, let's go see a musical, right? No. Can you name the last musical you saw that wasn't a Disney film?
I mean,
I think that this movie came out at the perfect time. I
it's
think
perfect.
that we've been primed for this for so many years. Like my
Definitely.
generation, with things like High School Musical and with all the Disney animated musicals.
not to mention Hamilton's doing well. Book of Mormon, there was stuff like that.
Yeah.
And South Park, that was a musical.
That was 98 though.
I know. I'm just.
No, exactly. But
I'm laying the groundwork for why. Yeah.
And I feel with the rise, like we recently had a talk about musicals of Hairspray and Captain or Peter Pan and
The musical Lives,
live
live
musical,
musical,
that I think that we're at a perfect place for this movie to come out, and it was magical. It was such a good movie experience, and like I don't even judge it as it was a good musical. I think it was a fantastic movie. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think it even needs the genre attached to it.
Well, for me, the most surprising thing is that when I remember seeing the trailer as well and being like, "That looks fucking awesome," not realizing it was a musical, but it was when they started like floating into the air and like the planetarium, I guess, or whatever, and just like what you're talking about, that running up and kissing. Not to mention that, I've talked in previous things about like, I like The Rock and I like Kevin Hart, so they're in a picture. Sure, I'll go see it. I like Emma Stone and I like Ryan Gosling a lot. So like to have them back together in a movie is like, oh yeah, fuck, that looks great. But the fact that the trailer was so good and then the movie was even better is what I think is most amazing about this. And the fact that usually it's the opposite. Oh man, great trailer. I see the movie. I'm like, all right, well, that's Suicide Squad.
Oh God, no! I mean, you're right though. When I first saw the trailer, I was like, I'm seeing this movie. Like, you guys won me over. You did your job with this. This looks epic. This looks amazing, and it was. It paid off in every single way. And what I enjoyed the most about it was once it ended, I had experienced so many different emotions throughout it, and I feel like all of them were earned. And I liked that even at the end of it, there was things that I'm like, oh man, why didn't they do this? Or this could have happened differently or whatever. But it's like, it felt good. It didn't feel like, oh man, they fucked that up. It felt like
they told a story.
They told a story and they made good choices. And I really like, and I'm assuming we're spoiling this to an extent.
The non-spoiler. No, we should go all in. I think people have seen it, right? Like non-spoilers, the movie's great. Go see it. Come back and watch the rest of this video.
Absolutely.
Now we're going to go
spoiler. My movie of
spoiler.
2016. My favorite movie by far of 2016. It was so good. And I could not recommend it more. I've been listening to the soundtrack every day.
That's the thing. Yeah, me too. When if I'm listening, if I'm working at the computer, or if I'm, like in the morning when I put stuff on my Bluetooth speaker in the bathroom, I've been listening to it too. City of Stars.
So good. It's just so damn good. But I love what I was saying is the end of it. I think they did a really, really interesting thing that is open to interpretation when they kind of. You see what happens, then it's the more like this is what could have been. I like that they did it on the actual soundstage that we saw earlier in the movie.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
They recreated the movie as if it was an old school musical.
Yeah.
And I like that that's open to interpretation, not only of is this supposed to represent what could have happened, or is this supposed to represent what did happen in a just different alternate timeline, or is this supposed to represent what would have happened if this was a musical that was made in the 50s? Because I like the whole style that they did of like recreating all the different things practically, even though earlier we saw like the planetarium scene or whatever, or the traffic thing was all, huge.
Yeah.
When they redid it as what an actual stage musical would be, I liked that it felt more like that would have been the typical story that was told, and it was cool.
What did you take away from the ending? Because Nick, we haven't talked about it. You talked about it. You took away something completely different than what I did.
Go ahead.
Well, for me, I took away what I just said. I took away the extra thing was just more of like a step back meta thing of this is what the musical version would have been of this. But
for me,
what they showed is that's what happened.
Oh, sure.
They did
Yeah.
split up
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The movie, they split up. For me, when I watched it all happen for me, it was happening in her head. This was her vision of like, fuck, what if he had gone with me to Paris? What if, we had been together and it was this perfect love story and we walked down here and then, the timelines meet. But then you were saying it was him, right? You told me that you took it from Gosling's perspective.
I think originally I did, yeah, because I think that they kind of, the way the cinematography lends itself in that scene, if I remember correctly, kind of pushes you toward that. But I don't think I necessarily defined it when I was watching. I just thought this was their sort of, they saw each other, they walked in, and this was sort of what their shared experience was when they were thinking about what their lives could have been. And I think that they both kind of came to that conclusion at the end, that although it would have been good, it still would have been missing something. And I think that no matter what, he wouldn't have gotten his club, and so he would have been not whole, right? And I think you see that in that look when she walks out and she looks back at him, and he looks at her and he smiles and she smiles back at him. Like there's that just acknowledgement that, hey, everything kind of turned out the way it was supposed to. I think.
Kevin, what did you turn on your mic? What did you say? Because it was another one where I was talking to you about it, and you think he's unhappy at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So I kind of saw it more towards Nick, like the way Nick originally saw it, where that was him playing out what would have happened if he hadn't gone and had gone with her essentially.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have gotten his dream. But before that happens, and we see him running around
The club,
but even before that, his house, he just seems so, I don't know. There seemed to be a sadness in who his character was. It seemed like how he was in the beginning of the movie, where he was all by himself and he just didn't seem happy.
Wait, in the scene, the epilogue scene where it's the flash, the alternate universe or whatever the fuck it is, didn't he also get the club in that as well?
No, in that universe, he
come to the
goes to
club.
a club and he realizes that someone else has his dream.
Got it. Okay.
So he looks up and sees someone else playing a piano in an amazing jazz club that's everything that he's wanted. And there's a moment on his face where you kind of get the feeling that and I don't remember her face because I was staring at him.
You love him.
But there's oh God, I love Ryan Gosling. God. But there's a moment where he just kind of looks and there's a dazed look on his face where he's like, fuck, that was my dream. And I don't get that. I sacrificed something to get that. And I think that's just kind of where they were.
Someone in the comments remind me, what was the name of the club?
Seb's.
In the dream though.
Oh, I don't remember.
That, because that's the thing to me that I could have sworn it was his as well. But I mean, whatever, that does totally change.
Yeah,
how
that's the thing. I'm gonna go see it again with Jen. So I want to. It's one of those movies. It's similar. I talked about it last year at the end of it, all the movies I had seen, and how Room is the one that I stuck with, and I thought about it. I felt every day for a while afterwards, and the same thing here. Granted, I'm listening to it, but I am still thinking about it in the same way.
Yeah, no, man, it's so good, and I think that what did I take from it from the end? Epilogue aside, I really appreciate the fact that it didn't, to me, feel like this is the only way it could have happened. And I think that the epilogue kind of shows that. The moral of the story isn't you either choose love or your dreams. And it's not that you have to do this or that and you can't do both. It's that there's a lot of different options that can happen. And this is just one of the ways that this went. Because I feel like they were so perfect together and everything made so much sense. So the moment when she's like, I got to go to Paris. And he's like, I can't go to Paris. I was like, really?
Yeah, why can't you?
Why can't you? But it was just I really took that as that was just a decision made because he really felt at that moment after everything that happened in that movie, after he did totally change the course of his dream to get her. I think that the use of City of Stars throughout the movie, how it keeps coming back in different ways, is really the thematic through line of the entire movie. And when it turns to the scene of them in the apartment and they're singing together. And it's not perfect because they're both not trained singers and they kind of fuck up and just kind of laugh it off. And that was the take that they used. I love that because it was so representative of this isn't a perfect story. Nothing about this is perfect. It is what it is. And that's the point where City of Stars stops being about the dream and says all we ever need is love. This is about love. And then later it turns back to being about dreams and it's not about love anymore. And I just think it's cool because it is an evolving thing where people grow with each other and they help each other become different people.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. That's well said. I think that was kind of what struck me too, was I think this is one of the best romance movies I've ever seen. In that it does what all really good romance movies do, in that it doesn't necessarily need a happy ending to be a good and enjoyable experience, right? It reminds me of all those relationships I've had in the past before I found my wife, that you thought that it was never going to change, right? You were in that moment and everything was perfect, and then for some reason it just kind of took a different turn and dissolved. And that's just what happens to people. That's what happens. It's life. It's not even a matter of youth. I was going to say it's what happens to you when you're young, but it happens no matter what. Sometimes you hold on to something really tightly and sometimes it just, you got to let it go. And I think that was so beautifully done in that. And I don't see it as an unhappy ending, by the way, because I think they both look to me like he looked like he loved that club and he was enjoying being that person. And they were always going to think about each other. They're always going to think about each other with a fondness of like what could have been.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when they see each other and there is that look at the end when they smile, they both realize that they were in that moment what they needed for each other.
Yeah.
To pass into that next part of their life, and then that's it. That's all it was.
Another thing that I really, really enjoyed about the movie is that it kept throwing curveballs, but not in a predictable way, and not in a way where you expect them to constantly be switching things up and. So you're trying to get ahead of the movie, because that's something that movies do a lot. Where I, as a creative type, like to watch these things and think, where's this going? What are they going to do? This movie, it beat me. Like I stopped thinking about that because I'm like, I trust them. Like they've won me over enough. Like when they introduced John Legend's character, it was intriguing. It was like, all right, this guy's obviously like the bad guy, but why? Because they set him up like, oh, he's a bad guy. They almost immediately switch that on you, and you're just like, no, he's a good guy. It just represents this dream that Ryan Gosling doesn't have, and it adds this whole new element to it, that it's no longer is it just love and dreams. The idea of success is also thrown in there, and success not being your dream. And it's like, all right, if you succeed at being successful, what's that worth compared to love and your dream, right? And it's like nothing, because he gets that, he gets all this fame, he gets all the YouTube views and all the money and all the tours and stuff, but it's not what he wanted to do. And it's just like, I love the dichotomy of all that. And like, to me, the movie is such an emotional roller coaster, and it got so real. Yeah. And like, I love that every person I've talked to about it gleans something differently from it, whether it's from the relationship standpoint or the dream standpoint or the success standpoint. And watching it with Gia was really difficult, because when they started having the fight about there's the one line in particular at the apartment when he goes to visit her.
Yeah, when he makes dinner.
Yeah, when he makes dinner and he's just like, I'm only here for the night. I got to bounce out tomorrow morning. And it's like him doing something so nice. And the whole fight that they had of, I'm doing this all for you. And she's like, why? This isn't what I want. And him being like, well, fuck. This isn't what I want either. Why are we doing this? But the line of, so when does this stop? And he's like, well, I don't know. We're doing the album to make the tour, and then we're doing the tour to make the next album or whatever. I was just like Gia looked at me and I'm like, oh God, this is literally like things that we've had. It's like, well, I'm doing Kind of Funny Live, and then I'm editing it so that other people can see it, so we can go bigger next year. So, and I'm like, oh shit. But it's like, I love that though. I love how that builds, and that's what I take from it. But other people I talk to, they totally just take the romance side of it, or they totally just take the, what's right for me side of it. It's beautifully crafted movie.
Yeah, I like that scene too, and I love the fact that he's doing something that he is conflicted about, right? He's doing something that he realizes is giving him success and can ultimately build toward that ultimate goal of his. But the reason why there's that animosity and the reason why there's that anger, and he has that line later that he says he doesn't really even mean, but he just says it, where he's like, "Are you mad?" Something to the extent of like, "Are you mad at me because you can't stand to see me succeeding while you're just standing one place?" And he's like, "You're an actor, for Christ's sake," like alluding to the fact that she hasn't made it yet, right? And he's starting to make it, but he doesn't really mean that. What he really means is like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't explain it, but and it's tearing us apart basically. And a lot of people are like, well, he could have just gone to Paris with her. And I'm like, he could have gone to Paris with her. But I think that scene was pivotal for that, because he talks specifically about like, he's already done this other thing for her, and that's led him to a place that he doesn't want to be either. So I think like, stay the course and get your club, or go to the beyond with this woman and probably not do what you want to do in life. That was his crossroad. Mm-hmm. And I think it was perfectly set up. Yeah. And I just think all the more better, man. It was just, it's one of those that sticks with you. It makes you feel like it really made me feel like that first time I got my heart broken. You know what I mean? Where you're like, fuck, that's what that feels like. And I'll never get that back. Like, you'll never be able to go back and redo that. You just have to live with it and use it to be a different or better person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, my takeaway from it in terms of the relationship standpoint, right? Is I think early on in that, but I mean, definitely in that fight when they're having it, is the fact of, they're not meant to be together. You know what I mean? Like watching them argue, and like, because it's a love and sex stuff episode, right? Of communication. Why are you? We never had this conversation of why he was joining up with this. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! You kidding me? And that they are young and they are this, but it is the fact of just like, I mean, it speaks to me and my ex-wife, right? Of like, we loved each other and we got together and we got married, thinking that, all right, cool, we can last through anything. Never thinking about the fact that I still had my dream of being a video game person, and she had her dream of whatever that was going to end up being. You know what I mean? The fact that when we both started pulling towards it, pulled away from each other. The fact of, oh, right, we love each other, and that's great, but this isn't meant forever if we have to go chase our own thing. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the next person I'm going to marry, right, has to be above all of that. And so for me, it was a very much like, I've been in this relationship. Yeah. No big deal. Yeah. It sucks that they're going to break up, but it's like, totally, they'll be fine on the other side. And that's why when they we see it all play out. I thought it was from her perspective, and we got there, and then the look back was for me all right, cool. We both did okay. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
You know what I
fine.
mean? See you later. This is a
worked
weird
out.
thing to see you here and coming to your club that you stole my fucking. You owe me for that goddamn logo.
Yeah. FYI, I'm waiting for my royalty check on that one.
Yeah, another scene that I really loved was when they went to go watch the movie, and then the film broke, and then they went to the location, the planetarium.
That was
Like,
awesome.
there's just so many just cool little nuances to it that they're like, man, you guys really thought about this.
Yeah.
The direction of it was fantastic, and I love so many varied musical styles that all kind of felt right. They all felt like they meshed together, but they were like just different enough that it never felt like it was the same thing over and over and over. Even though the main theme, the Another Day of Sun, the like melody of that comes back like 5 different times in different songs, and it's cool. It's a great story.
Yeah. They just won a lot of Golden Globes. I'm sure they'll do well at the Oscars as well for this. But I think one of the things that the composer said that really stuck with me was he was like, this is a very unique project where everyone had to really work together to make this happen. And it, obviously evolved over the span of 6 years, I think, from when Damien Chazelle wrote it. But I mean, this is what you get when you have a lot of people really invested in something special. And like that movie should not have been that good. Had no business being that good. But it just came together, and it's really well done. Surprisingly, Matt and his wife, who both do musical theater, did not like it.
Yeah.
And I suspect
No
a lot
taste.
of people. Yeah, I suspect a lot of people who actually have seen, like, are in theater might have a thing or two to say to that. But I agree with what you just said, because their biggest complaint was there was no through line. And I'm like, I don't know. I thought there was.
I think it was just really honest, I'm not trying to put down musicals or anything, but I
Right.
think that and plays in general, the through line's really obvious. And it's very in your face. Whereas this was a movie, and it was, I think, an honest depiction of a relationship. You know what I mean? Of the fact of like, well, this isn't necessarily going to be cut and dry. It isn't going to be this thing. You know what I mean? The fact of like, when he gets the phone call and they're broken up, and he's like, she's not here, not anymore. And then she's like, audition. He's like, what? And then he drives all that way because he's like, it wasn't the ham-fisted Richard Gere in a limo, like, I'm here to whisk you away and
Right.
make
It
all your
wasn't
dreams
like,
come true.
yeah.
It's like, I know how much this means to you, and even if we're not together and we're not going to be together after this, clearly, like
I still love
this
you.
is still, I love you, and this is important to you, and I'm going to you need
Right.
to know, and you need to do this, and I need to make you successful.
God, and that scene where they're sitting back up at the observatory, and they're just like, what now? And he's like,
Yeah.
So good.
I don't know. I'm like, no, just fucking tell you, lever, you schmo.
But again, that would be like so
go
antithetical to who they actually
I
were,
know,
right? Because
I
like
know.
for
That's
me,
why
it
it
was
was
like not that I think I fucked it up in any of my past relationships this hard, but in terms of well, no, I'm more important than what I need to do right now for this other person, right? Was when he doesn't go to the one woman show, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in my head, I'm like, if that's Jen and Jen's doing whatever the fuck Jen needs to do, and that's her dream, and guys like, hey, I need to take photos of you, I'd be like, no, sorry, John Legend, sorry, Tim, I gotta go. What are you talking about?
That is the one part of the movie that I just really couldn't buy. Is even like taking the photos of things and all that out of the way. It's just like there was certain moments where I'm like, you schedule around these things, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't care how busy you are. It's like there's a few moments that are like I gotta do this. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
And it's like anything should be able to understand that. So it's like I don't know, but minor complaints.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely
for sure.
The audition scene though was so good at the end when
yeah.
she sang the song, the like my aunt used to
her
live in
aunt.
Paris or whatever. It was just like that was just yet another shift in the movie where I'm like, damn, they took this up another notch. Like this is so fantastic, and it made one of the plot points in the movie that I didn't really like that much make sense, which was the one woman show, the one person that needed to be there saw it and all that. It's like it was a
Right.
little too convenient, but that audition made it all up for me. Where I'm like, this is really going in a cool direction that I do think is believable. And when I was saying earlier about the end of the movie, how it doesn't really end perfectly and whatever, to me, what I thought was going to happen from the whole epilogue scene was that was the movie she ended up making. Was like the
interesting.
whole thing, because when she was doing the whole audition and they were pretty much like, yo, we liked your one woman show. We want you to go to Paris and make a movie, like make a story. I was like, oh my God, this whole thing of her with a different family and whatever, that is the movie. And I thought they were going to cut to them watching it, but that's, my mind always goes meta.
Interesting.
Always.
Yeah, no, I knew the second that they showed the kid. The second that she had a kid, I was like, she's not getting back together with her.
I knew as soon as they showed her hot ass husband, that guy from Dead Man on Campus. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, yeah.
Love that guy. I was like, he's not going anywhere. Yeah, I don't know.
It was another one that I was telling Kevin though too. This is one of those things that I feel like happens all the time in these movies where like everything with James Marston, right? Or Marston.
Marston.
Yeah, Marston. I don't want to say John Marston. James Marston. And like from Superman Returns or The Notebook or whatever, where it's like, oh, you're not that bad of a guy, but like, oh, she's not really in love with you. And he might have been a bad guy in The Notebook, I forget. But for sure in Superman
He definitely
Returns.
wasn't in Superman Returns. He was
Superman
like a
Returns,
really
he's
good
totally a
guy.
nice guy. And it's like, well, Lois doesn't love you as much as she loves her
Flies a plane.
soulmate.
Thought he, I think, was a doctor.
Yeah,
tried to like
yeah,
save
yeah.
her a bunch of times, even though he almost died like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
fucking time he did anything.
So I see this dope who's got a kid with her. And I'm like, oh, sorry, she just doesn't love you like she loved fucking him.
That
Sucks.
Yeah,
He
there you
plays
go.
music. You just drive a nice
I
car.
mean, my wife put it best. My wife's like, I was like, yeah, it's too bad. Like, you really want them to get together at the end. She's like, well, if this were real life, yeah, I mean, he would just wait until she got divorced and then scoop back up in there.
now she knows.
I was like, Deco, oh man.
She knows
That's-
LA.
yeah,
She
so
knows
whatever.
LA very, very well.
Fuck, that's so funny. So funny. And
So
before
there's-
we leave, I want to give a couple more shout outs. Shout out to the scene where they cut to all the Prius keys. Because that was
That was really
hilarious.
funny. It's the Prius.
Yeah, so damn good. And shout out to the entire pool scene
Oh, that was
where
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
in the
yeah.
van with Flock of Seagulls. Oh, fucking funny. So
yeah.
good.
Yeah, and a huge shout out to how that movie was filmed too. I mean, I would not be surprised if that got a nod for best cinematography at the Oscars. I mean, I have an article right now in the American Cinematographer I have not read yet. I've been kind of saving it for a rainy day, but I want to read how they did all that stuff because I think they use a lot of techno cranes. And like, I mean, if you notice, like the best cinematographer, the cinematography that I thought really shined in the movie was when you didn't notice what was happening, and all of a sudden there's two people in front. We crane through them through the desk, and then all the way around her, and then all the way back in that, and I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? That was really amazing and very flawless.
Yeah.
So I'm actually fascinated to read how they did that and see what kind of mechanized crane they used for that.
Super cool.
If you didn't know, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 3, sometimes 4 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where you can get every episode early, along with a bunch of exclusive perks, goodies, and if you give us $1 or more for the month of January, you get exclusive access to Kinda Funny Live 2, a 3-hour video that Tim cut, and it's really awesome. There's a million camera angles, and it probably killed him. If you have no bucks to toss our way, though, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where you get the show broken up topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big MP3 in video. Until next time, no, it's been our pleasure to serve you.
Damn right.